Good afternoon and welcome back, one and all. It is my pleasure to have you. We return back to our adventures in the Half-Blood Hooligan campaign, and I've prepared a recap for us. Yes, it was actually me coughing. We rejoin our story inside the mind of David. Our adventurers reside within the island stronghold of Troy. After an interesting social encounter at the Taco Temple, our party assisted in defending the city from the enemy invading force. Once they slammed the exterior portcullis, they finished off the remaining troops as the reinforcements arrived to guard the gate and repel the advancing force. After the party departed from the fight, they returned to the city of Troy, preparing for siege. The party currently resides on the outskirts of the high fashion district, approaching the upper gambling section. The gambling section is currently overrun and besieged by enemies. We jump back into the thick of it. So the D20s I asked you to roll were for the names of the districts and what was going wrong in them. So you rolled that the city in particular was known for its high fashion and also gambling. Since it's your dream, David. And Wally rolled saying that of all the things that could be going wrong, there's a whole list. The current calamity is that number 17, they are besieged by enemies.
Wow.
Which is accurate.
Yep.
Which is astounding. I don't know how you did it, Wally.
He's protected by plot armor.
All right. Shelly, you got your dice and everybody got their character sheet up?
Yep.
Nice. Lori, you got yours? You will notice that on your main page of your character sheets online for the drive, I have included basic weapon attacks for strength-based melee, finesse-based melee, and ranged attacks for you. Hopefully that way it's easier for you to streamline your turns if you're interested in what is my attack for this versus that. For instance, if we're looking over at, let's look at David. On his first page, it does show on the bottom melee, finesse, and ranged. So these are for weapons you are proficient with. So for David, on your right-hand side, you can check out your proficiencies. So under class information, so if we go to your current class status, which is the second tab at the bottom, you can find your proficiencies listed there. They are light armor, medium armor, shields, and multiple different types of weapons, including simple weapons and martial weapons. So pretty much a lot of combat with the exception of heavy armor.
Nice.
So hopefully that'll make it a little easier for us. This does not factor in any equipment bonus for it. So for instance, with Wally's hammer, he has his +7 to hit from his dexterity and his proficiency modifier. But because your hammer is a +1 weapon, it does not show that it's an 8. Instead, it shows that it's a 7. Because that's your natural bonuses with it, not amplified by any magics.
Right.
Which, if we were in person and not having to stream this over the internet, would be easier for you guys. But I understand it's a little difficult since I have all the character sheets here, and I tried to put them up online so it'd be easier for you guys.
Are you able to share the stream over Discord? Twitch is still being a poop for me.
Sure, absolutely. I will show this screen. Does that work well?
It do.
Okay. It looks like Twitch is loading for me as well, so hopefully everything's working well. If not, we can definitely just record it.
So you were saying that the districts are a garment, like a fashion district, and a gambling district? I heard that
yes.
correctly?
So in one section, off to your left-hand side, that is the gambling district, which, if you're looking at the photo editor, I'm going to rotate the image so that way it looks like the stream, so it's easier. I'm going to rotate it 90 degrees clockwise. We're going to put a big couple of letters on here for where the fashion district is. That's how you spell fashion. I always don't think there's an H.
This is David's dream. Everything can be misspelled.
That would be even better.
Be like FASHIN.
I was going to say UN, but I like the I. That's at least somewhat close.
Because it's fashion. It sounds like fashion.
Okay.
If that's what you say, Big N, it is your dream.
Mm-hmm.
All the best designer towels are there.
That they are.
That makes sense.
So on the lower side of town, on your right, is the gambling district. On the left is the fashion district.
Okay.
Based off the recap, since it was purely random, the high fashion district is where you are approaching. So as you are departing from your previous encounter, you would be familiar with the left-hand side, since you passed by it, would be the most notably well-decorated, well-designed, and well-crafted houses, possibly on the whole island. And you would know that a lot of the merchants in that area typically sell the best, most high-end fashion you've ever seen. And it really makes you wonder if he really reads those magazines he keeps by the toilet at night, or what he does with them, because he's clearly studying them and pays quite good attention, because in these dreams, David has some very fashionable merchants, a lot of wares that are spread out along tables that have huge bolts of cloth that are the finest silks and material you've ever seen. To David, they probably look quite tasty more than anything.
So the mystery of why David has 5 girlfriends but never actually goes on dates with any of them has been solved.
All right, David, what's your response?
I'm going to be like, please elaborate. You've left that open to so many different possibilities. I'd love to know where your mind went with that.
I'm going to say David's at least Metro based on that.
I mean, if David went to the mall, he could never have another date because he ate the clothing store mannequins. Or if they ended up back at his place, just accidentally snapped on like the sleeve of a shirt and just killed any chance of even hanging out.
So the more fashionable the clothes, the better they taste, is what you're saying.
Possibly. David has not sampled all the finer fabrics that life has to offer.
Okay, all right. Totally different direction. I like it.
All right.
He like goes to a high-end store and he's like, I've not tasted this brand of suit before. Let me just nibble on the cufflink.
All right. Shelley, since you have the fastest movement speed of the group, we're going to say that you are the one leading the pack away from the assault on the central gate. You are the first one to see that the district is under siege. It is the gambling district, which is on your right-hand side. You see a number of hooligans running back and forth, a number of numbskulls and rapscallions of all sorts and kinds, all shapes and sizes, of differing races, differing classes, but they all have something unique and similar about them. It's unique because it's completely obscure and part of David's dream. But Shotley, what is the identifying mark of a Trojan What makes them stick out amongst the regular squalor of the city?
They all have what's it called? It's not like a cape, but it's not a coat. It's kind of like one of those weird half cape kind of things. Maybe a cowl? Is that what it is?
I have no idea. They all wear hats.
They have a big a logo on the back of whatever they're wearing. So if it's like a jacket, it's on their jacket. If it's on their shirt, it's on the back of their shirt.
But it's a similar logo, yes?
Yes, it's a uniform logo.
And what does this logo look like?
It's just a big T.
It's just a big T.
Yeah, it's just a T for
That would
treasure.
also be...
That's what I'm picturing.
Well, why don't you, can you send that to me?
Yes.
Or tell me what you Googled so I can pull it up?
I literally Googled half cape.
Let's see what comes up.
Cape with a big T.
Yeah, that's.
Alright.
Oh, very nice. Very Sherlock Holmes and crap. Oh, yeah. That there's an Arthur Conan Doyle.
Alright, so I marked it as spoilers just in case. You know, it might come up.
Big T.
Alright, so based off of the immediate Google image search I found for it, their also now identifiable color scheme is red and black. So it's clear cut and easy for everyone. You notice that the entire right-hand side of this district has sporadic fires that are spouting up in different places. Almost about every other building seems to be sprouting out some sort of fire or seems to have some sort of smoke rising from it. On your left-hand side, relatively untouched, you don't see any fires, but you do see Trojans running in and out of all the different mercantile houses. All the different shops that have been set up are torn apart, ransacked to some degree or other, and don't appear to be on fire, though. Maybe that has something to do with the fashion district known for its fire-retardant clothing now.
They were ahead of their time when it came to fire prevention wearable clothing.
They were. Since we have the momentary reprieve, you also are joined by Jack and Daniel, while you are consulting with Laura as well. Laura is here.
Yeah.
So what is your course of action?
I'm following David's lead. It's his dream.
Yeah, same here.
I mean, we're trapped in a nightmare with several of our friends trying to get away from people dressed in red and black. We're kind of on the verge of copyright lawsuit here anyway.
Yeah, since it's now a Disney franchise.
Oh, sad things that are true. Sad things that are true.
So,
yes, One-Eyed One.
One-Eyed One is thinking, well, if the fashion district has fireproof clothes and the gambling district has fire, maybe we should pop into the fashion district, grab some flame-proof clothes that fit us, just in case dream powers can't keep us from becoming barbecued, or at least everyone who's not flame-proof from being barbecued, and then go get people out of the burning gambling district.
Laura, it'd be really funny if you said that comment into the mic.
No, it's just.
Come on.
Share with the class.
I just said that maybe the bunny slippers that Shotley is wearing are highly flammable, and he might want to at least change his shoes out.
Flaming bunnies.
So where are you going, Biggin? Where are you going, Biggin?
Biggin's going to suggest, for those that are not Flameproof. Fire no burn. For those that fire do burn, Fashion District will keep you from burning. And kind of, is hinting at, like, Shotley and Laura and Jack and, like, y'all aren't fireproof. Go get something to help you be fireproof.
Well, a shield party big and tall, so lead the way.
Which store would be the closest store for us? Figure we can start there first.
The closest building to you is a residence. So it is a household building. It is a small residence in the first quadrant on your immediate left-hand side. It is run by a florist. So he typically uses that as a front for where he grows his house in a huge garden-like area behind it. And it is covered in dense greenery.
Where is the closest store?
That would be next door. You would have to continue further up, which is as you continue down the road left, northbound on the Fashion District row, and you could easily find a couple of shops.
I would like to do that. I'd like to go to the place where there would be the best chances of finding the coveted flame-proof clothing.
Okay, so the first one you find on the third house up is called the Gilded Rose.
Pretty.
It does have what appears to be a couple of men clad in red and black tunics that have the collars flicked up and the half-cloak form posing out on the outside of it, slinking back, hiding, trying to look like nobody's business, but they're clearly spotted because it's early evening, so there's still a little bit of light, and they're thinking that their black cloaks will really cover them up and hide them well. But they forgot about the other sleeve that they have that's bright red, and they're very vibrant and very visible on the side of the building.
Oh, I don't they got that big T on the back?
They do, but they have their backs to the wall presently. They are watching your approach, and there are 6 of them. You watch as the 6 Trojans ascend the opposite side of a different building and jump in through the windows, kicking open doors and knocking around bolts of fabric inside. You hear heavy thunks as they're throwing in huge meaty whacks as they're fighting inside somebody or something, and you hear, "Ah, help!"
David's gonna turn to the group and be like, let's go help that person. Maybe they got the clothes we need. Or they can help us get the clothes we need.
So we're following David through the door, then.
Alright, David, you walk up to the front of it. None of them actually used the front door. You watched as they maneuvered their way to jump in through different windows or ascended outside walls and jumped in through upper windows or even ascended through the attic or ceiling from the uppermost region of this area. None of them used the door, so it is still bolted shut. And you try the handle and try the door, and you realize that it is heavily bolted into place and barred shut.
Wally would like to investigate the door to see if it is a model or a hinge that he understands well enough to easily break or disengage.
Go ahead and roll investigation.
It's going to be a 26.
All right. You press your ear against the door and tap on it to see if you hear any reverberations of metal inside or any identifying reverberations that might remark to you that this is going to be a mechanical construction of some kind. And as you press your ear against it, you start to think and listen real hard and realize this is David's dream. David doesn't understand the interworkings of a very small mechanical device like a lock. He might understand that it keeps things shut, but as you extend your awareness into it, you find no mechanisms for barring it shut other than what appears to be, or sounds based off of the metal reverberating back to you, metal brackets on the wall and a plank of wood in it that is barring it from opening outward.
All right, so I'm going to stand in front of the handle to the door. I'm going to lean down very purposefully, and I'm going to go, oh, yes, just like that. And then I'm going to wave my hand in front of it and wait to see if David believes me.
Go ahead and roll deception. Actually, no, roll sleight of hand instead, please.
You see me do this quite a bit, so let's find out. Sleight of hand.
I've seen you.
That's a 24. Oh, wait, no, my sleight of hand's up to a 7 now, so 25.
Nice.
I mean, David has seen you wiggle your fingers in front of doors and they magically open.
That's true.
All right, let's go for David's perspective on this. David, this is a unique setting for you. You haven't seen him have to not pull out his tools to pick a lock. Sometimes he just jiggles it and uses his Hephaestus powers. How does he get the door open?
Well, like he said, he kind of walks up and hunkers. Like, it sounds like he hunkered down a bit.
Mm-hmm.
Started kind of using his Hephaestus powers to get into the door.
Mm-hmm.
David's just watching, like, yeah, this is what usually happens. This is how it normally goes. And then when he stands up, it is like, there we go. David's like, so, now the door's open. Sweet.
Well,
not realizing
voila.
that.
As you look at it, there is no lock on it anymore. There never was. There's still the door handle, and it is still barred from the other side. The door does not open, unfortunately.
I was about to ask, well, does the door open outward by chance? Like, David might have barred the door in a dream and then just forgot which way doors are supposed to go for it to work.
Yeah, try that. Do it.
That's way better than anything I could come up with. Yes, while Wally does lean back, he looks off to the side and notices the hinges bend inward for the door. So he stands up, gestures with his hand, accidentally bumps it a little bit, and it does open inward.
Wally walks under the still stationary bar to the door, now hanging in midair uselessly.
David's going to move the bar.
You pick it up. It is a heavy, very thick timber of wood.
Don't eat it.
No. David got a better idea than trying to snack on it. Plus, that's all splintery. You don't want to snack on that. David wants to turn to Daniel and ask...
I don't want to eat it.
No, not for eating. For snacking.
For snacking? I just said I don't want to eat it, David.
No, for smacking, for hitting people.
I hear you. You keep saying snacking. I don't want to eat it.
David's going to, mime hitting somebody like a hammer strike down, using it, showing, as a weapon.
Oh, yeah, I could do that.
Because he did mention that he likes the club weapon.
I do like to go clubbing.
So this...
Don't forget to bite the bus driver.
So I'd like to give him the sturdy door stopper chunk of wood. So he's got a weapon he's a little bit more familiar with.
He takes the timber from you. He looks at it, appraises it, gives it a hefty swing in his hand. I'm not actually going to swoosh this.
Okay, no swoosh.
Swoosh.
Perfect.
And David's going to be like, let's go inside now.
Okay. You enter inside the Gilded Rose, and you are a little taken aback because of how dark it is. But as your eyes adjust to the dim interior, you recognize that what was called the Fashion District might just be a really bad joke, because inside is all weapons and armor.
Ooh. Neat.
You look about and you find very thick, heavy chainmail plate, huge suits of armor, and as you enter in Cholet, you entering behind David and Wally, a couple of heads turn and focus onto you. Very reminiscent of how you got your clothing.
Are they just standing there and they turned and looked at us, or what were they doing?
They were standing there, armed, at attention, waiting. Cholet walked in, their heads turned on a swivel to look and stare at him. Just Cholet.
I wait to see if they say anything.
They stare at you for an agonizing second. You hear the sound of metal on metal slowly vibrating and echoing through the room as other bits of metal are dragged about. And suddenly the silence is broken by one Trojan being kicked through a subsection of the room. A door buckles inward underneath his weight, falling flat onto the floor. He tumbles with the door onto the floor, tumbles backwards into a slow shoulder roll, gets back up, dagger in one hand, rapier in the other, cape flowing wildly behind him, trying to fight off one of the Trojan guards. You do notice the man that tumbled through the door did have the red and black on him and had the big capital T. Because even though the invading force isn't the Trojans, because the Trojans live here, they have capital T's on their back. It's a dream. Who's the good guy? Who's the bad guy? For David, they're all bad guys, and for David, they're all good guys.
So confused.
So you might talk to somebody, and he takes a punch and spins around, and his outfit changes. It does look a little curious, because he seems to be fighting and sparring with somebody that's rolling in. The suits of armor then turn and adjust their gaze towards the new figure that's coming in. The figure, without thinking, turns back around and says, "Guys, I could use a little help in here." And you hear a couple more thunks and sound of heavy footfall from up above as you hear, "We're coming, we're coming!" As two other guys shout out with distinct accents that I'm bad at and descend these stairs as well. And it's at this point you see the figure emerging from the doorway that had previously knocked this man through and knocked off the hinges from this door. He steps through. He is a big, burly, hulking gnome. He is 3 feet tall, but just as wide. He is 3 feet by 3 feet, nothing but meat.
3 meat by 3 meat? Oh
Yes.
my.
3 feet tall, 3 feet wide, thick, broad shoulders. He's got a nose ring hanging from the middle of it as if he is a bull himself. And he flexes and pulls apart his shirt at the seams, just rippling with muscle, ready to go. He says, "Is that all you got?" He then starts charging and wailing on the guy with the rapier, and they get into this interlocking combat. He tries to throw a couple of moves, try to wrap a leg, and he gets a dagger to the back of the head. He jumps up and delivers a roundhouse kick, lands it on the side of the head of the rapier-wielding rapscallion, and they seem to be locked into combat for a moment.
So, do we help the horny one, or?
I don't know, I kind of like the tiny buff dude. It seems like it might be his place.
Oh, so we're helping the gnome then?
What's the gnome's name?
My name's Handy. As he starts Handy, yes. As he starts wailing on the rapscallion that has accosted him in his own house and dwelling.
Yeah, let's go help Handy the buff gnome.
So,
I mean, if he even needs help, he might not need much help.
so I guess at this point, what, roll initiative? Or?
Yes. Well, if you choose to help, you can simply tell me how you wish to help. We're not rolling combat here, because I suspect this might be resolved quite quickly.
Oh, okay.
Well,
I don't know, how do we want to help the gnome? I just am voting to help the gnome. How do you think the best way to help the gnome is?
You could help me by fighting these guys. That'd be great.
Does the gnome have the T on it anywhere on his clothing?
He does not appear to. You notice that he's barely wearing any clothing other than the tight-fitting jeans that he's wearing. You recognize these as, since you wear them yourself occasionally, being the very clean and well-dressed elf that you are, being very tight pants that he's wearing. Tight
pants.
That also might be why he has such a high-pitched voice.
Ooh.
You're not too sure, but he appears to be fighting against this invading force that has the red and black caped top tunic and the large T on the back.
You're calling the shots, Biggin.
Is there any other ones with the big T that I can see that is not being grappled or gnome handled by Handy the gnome?
As you stand there, the grouping of you watching this gnome and musketeer-style fighter go at it, two of the musketeer's friends arrive and descend the staircase below and quickly approach and stab into the back of the gnome. He gets pierced by 2 rapier blows and 2 subsequent dagger blows. So I will let Laura roll damage. It's 2d6 and 2d4 plus their finesse modifiers if they've got the dexterity modifiers. Alright, 3, 4, 8 plus 16 is 24 damage. The gnome falls and buckles down to his knees. You hear, help! I called for help! You're not doing anything! Help! He falls down to his knees and a small puddle of blood starts to spit out into the area. His body immediately evaporates, turning into a shower of golden dust as he disappears. The 3 musketeers now turn to the group that has entered into the building. Now I need everybody to roll initiative. I mean, Thor could have helped him.
No.
David feels like he lost part of himself.
Daniel.
I can see it work.
Oh, I didn't roll yet.
Okay.
Jack.
Okay.
Ooh, yeah, that's gonna bite me.
I rolled a 5.
I rolled a 3.
Shelley?
Shelley with the 12.
12?
Yes.
Okay. I need those d20s back. Alright, so we're going to have our initiative order. One moment. So there are 3 musketeers present in front of you. Of the 6 you saw enter into this building, we're going to have a very open floor plan, so that way it's easier for us to utilize the drawing system I have at my disposal. It's going to include, but not be limited to, rectangles and squares.
Ooh.
Of this, we are going to watch as I miraculously draw a hopefully square-ish looking building.
It's old. It's an old building.
It's a very old building.
Yes. It's been knocked around a little bit.
It has been. Thank you for backing me up, boy.
Yep.
It's a very...
The walls don't really match the other walls.
David also doesn't know how to build a building.
That is also true.
David doesn't know what a square or a rectangle is. It's fine.
The square. Alright, so we enter in from the bottom left-hand corner. We're going to have to pick some shapes and colors for everybody. Let's start with top of the initiative order. Laura, what color are you going to be?
Purple.
Purple. If I can get you a purple. How's that? Is that purple enough?
Sure.
Cool. You are the purple star. That's kind of small.
It's a large store.
It's a store. It's a very open floor plan store.
Got it.
Followed by Shelley. Shelley, what color are you?
Green.
You're green. Alright, Shelley. Next up, we have the Musketeers. What color should the Musketeers be? Should they be like a fuchsia?
I mean, you said they were red and black.
Okay. I'm willing to go for red and black. There's 3 of them. Then there's going to be Daniel. Daniel's going to be whatever the fuck this color is. Woo. And then we have Jack going with the classic stargazing gold. Oh, that's kind of hard to see. Let's give him more of like a bronze. Ooh, that's kind of nice. Wally, what color you want to be?
Well, they're red and black, so I'll go with orange this time.
Ooh. Nice. All right. So there's our party. I already put that here. There's the
What about
3.
David?
Did I forget David?
I knew you
And
forgot
Jack
David.
and Daniel, right?
I got Jack. David, what did you roll?
David got a 3 on initiative.
All right. You were the first one in the building. You will be the last one to act. David, what color do you want to be?
Blue, please.
All right. So here is our battle map. It's pretty much a rectangle
Gorgeous.
with a couple of stars in it. But in your mind's eye, this is a densely packed store. It is almost warehouse-esque, filled from top to bottom with tons of weapons and armor galore. You look over in a corner, you're definitely going to see any sort of weapons you could ever dream of. Also, this is a dream. So, David, you look about, and as you're looking over the area, you recognize that you see hundreds of different types of swords, some being smaller, thinner, some being longer, and definitely heavier. You suspect that there is every type of sword you have ever seen in this building, to some capacity or another.
Nice.
You also recognize that there's tons and tons of suits of armor here that are also just still staring over at the musketeers that stabbed their owner. These suits of armor themselves will be drawn into the map because they will have a turn in the initiative order. Oh, that's blue, so I can't use blue. What color should the suits of armor be?
Pink.
Okay.
Yeah.
It just hasn't been used yet. Don't look at me like that.
Laura's got a point. I don't think we've had pink as a color on this before.
Don't worry. You never will again.
Are you not a fan of the pink stars?
It's fine. They're squares. No, they're actually round. There's balls. Let me see if I can get this full screen. Front and center. That's our map.
There we go.
Woo! Alright, let's get to combat. We start off with Laura,
Alright.
the purplish star in the back.
Okay.
What you gonna do, girl?
She kills everyone.
Come on. And you said all of the suits of armor were now staring at what?
All of the suits of armor are now staring at the Three Musketeers.
Oh, okay. I thought they were staring at Shotley earlier.
They were.
Okay, they were staring at Shotley earlier.
But Shotley didn't act. So now they're staring as their master got stabbed.
True. Alright, I'll scratch that plan then. Well, I'm trying to reading your mind, but that's not a good idea. Are there? Laura's gonna look for a weapon that resembles her clicky pencil. When it's enlarged, she doesn't want to pull her pencil out, but she wants to look for an axe that resembles what her pencil would look like.
So previously you had a oblong silver mechanical pencil that didn't click but spun.
Oh, spun.
Is that the one you're trying to call back?
Yes.
You recognize that it was a great axe,
Yes.
and that is a very long wooden pole, two-handed weapon with a huge face of an axe and beard that is just as sharp going down that brushes just over the knuckles. You find one conveniently next to you on the left-hand side of the table in front of you.
Great. She tries to pick it up.
You pick it up with ease, almost as if it's not really there.
Oh boy. So it's really light.
Yes, deceptively light. Because you think this might have something to do with David's strength.
Great. Oh, so everything's gonna be really light because
David's really strong.
Oh.
Unless David looks at it.
Strong.
Unless David looks at it.
But if you run into a math book, expect it to be in another language.
Right.
But
It'll be
Calculus
like-
is already in another language.
It'll be like if Russian and Latin had a child that then hung out with English to go rob German of its extra syllables.
Yes. Laura,
Yeah,
you have now armed yourself.
I have. Before she does anything else, I'm still stuck on the suits of armor for some reason, and why they were staring at Shotley. Did the suits of armor look familiar? Has Laura ever
Yes.
seen them before?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
You recently saw them in your Chimera fight.
Okay.
They were recently employed by Shotley
Yep.
in the Chimera fight.
Okay. That's good to know.
I mean, I was being more generic and gentle with the hints before, but
Yep, I got it now. Okay. Well, I'll just leave that to Shotley when it's his turn.
anybody could have said something or done something.
I know.
But you guys just watched and stared like, do we
We
do
did.
anything? Whose side are we on? As the dome gets stabbed.
I'm still kind of confused who we're fighting, but it's fine.
Not my dream. I'm not making any guesses.
Yeah.
So the assaulting force has also never been named by David. They're just under siege. And yes, there are historical references in Greek lore about the names of the creatures, or names of the characters that are attacking. But Shelley described them as having big T's on their back, so they look like Trojans, but the Trojans are defending the city.
Oh, man.
So this kind of makes it a wee bit complicated. So David,
Yes?
I need a city name that starts with T that's not Troy.
Troy.
You piece of trash.
Nope.
Twinnesota.
No, because David's like, oh, I know a place that starts with T. Toronto.
Toronto.
Oh man,
This is Toronto back in the day.
Attack of the freaking Canadians.
You know when Toronto attacks Troy.
Being invaded by Canadians, bro.
All right, so these French invading musketeers wear their city's letter on their backside, the giant T, as they are assaulting the city of Troy. Laura, what are you going to do?
Okay. Laura's got her very light, large axe.
Yes.
She will move to the front of the party to not hit anyone in the back of the head.
Okay.
Is it going to make a void?
No. The background's white. It's just gonna move everything else.
What?
Why does this never work when I want it to? I just want a selection tool. And I want to select this. And I want to cut this. I want to cut it. Then I want to paste it. And I want to be able to move it. There we go!
Oh.
Alright, Laura, you're in front of the party. I'm getting a little overexcited about this. What are you going to do?
She's just going to throw it overhand at the closest guy.
At the closest guy is the one behind you.
No,
that's Wally.
At the closest red star, the one in front, just to see what'll happen.
Alright, he's 30 feet away.
Yep.
David thinks this is a cool idea as he sees the windup.
Yeah, over the head, two-handed, like she's axe throwing, just...
Well, that's what you're doing. You
Yep.
are axe throwing.
I am.
Go ahead and roll a d20.
Aiming at the guy's face. Okay.
Hey David, what does she roll?
A 30.
Oh yeah, it's David's dream. She rolled a 30.
You rolled, unfortunately, very low against these musketeers.
Oh, well.
David doesn't believe that she rolled low.
There are plenty of weapons. Laura will just try again.
What is your immediate response to, oh wow, there's tons of things I can stab people with. Better throw them.
Well, Laura's not very good with close combat.
Let's check your
I
stats.
don't know what my stats are.
I don't know when Laura said that she picked up the axe to throw it. That made me think of the Shaun of the Dead. There's a scene where they just keep throwing things at the zombie, like yeah.
That's
The
where
record
I'm at right
collection.
now.
So that kind of makes me think like that's what Laura's going to do. She's like, axe, no. Dagger, no. Spear, no. Sword, no. Different sword, no.
Double no.
Maybe.
Something works.
She's not feeling super confident in her magic abilities inside David's head right now, so...
I mean, so far, you've been able to cast spells that you didn't have and didn't have prepared.
It's true. I might try one of those again later.
Yeah, make something up. Convince David you are the one and you can break the Matrix.
Alright, unfortunately, this great axe is a martial weapon. So you do not have proficiency with it. So your 3 with your dexterity modifier makes it a 5.
Great.
You have a +2 to dexterity.
Okay.
That's pretty good. Makes sense while you're throwing things.
Okay.
Because that's much better than you walking up and stabbing them with your +1 instead.
Yeah, I'm not going to do that.
No, clearly. Even though you're possibly the second tankiest character in the party.
Great.
More than... Well, it'd probably be Daniel, then David, then you. So third.
Laura's just going to keep throwing things, so tell me what happens.
Okay. You give the whole hoopla of a wind-up. You spin around as if you're going to throw it. You heave it over the back of your head, throwing it end over end. You misjudge how tall the room is. Since it's owned by a gnome and mostly operated by him, the ceilings are a lot shorter. It is roughly about a foot above David's head, where the edge of the ceiling starts. So you reach back, since you're holding it from the bottommost part of the hilts of the axe, you lift it up and you're ready to throw it. As you heave it up, the top of the axe hits the ceiling and falls down in front of you with a dull metal twang.
Great.
But you have expended 2 points of your 17.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, 1 to move over,
Yeah.
1 to arm yourself, 5 to attack. You have 10 points left.
Great.
This is going very well.
It's going very well.
You watched a shop owner get massacred. Decided, I'm gonna help him. Pick up an axe. I'll throw it. Short ceiling.
Yep. Well, that didn't work.
You can try again.
I can try again. I'm sure Laura's self-esteem is through the roof right now. Okay. Let's see.
Fortunately, it's only David's opinion of you that currently matters.
That's true.
That is true. Not your own self-opinion.
So Laura still feels great about herself.
Laura's like, I threw an axe.
I tried. It didn't actually go anywhere.
It did.
Well-
it went straight up and then straight down. That's somewhere. That's
If
a vertical.
it left your hands, it went somewhere.
What you want
It's
to
true.
do? Pick it back up?
Try again. No.
The worst that's going to happen is you huck a fireball instead.
Yeah, I'm not.
And just like that, all the weapons became magic spells.
Laura's gonna see if she's gonna nudge the axe away with her foot.
Okay.
And see if there are any shorter dagger-esque.
The gnome sword.
Dagger-esque.
Dagger-esque daggers.
Yes, you find
Throwing
some.
knives, daggers.
You find some very honed and sharpened metallic objects that are very dagger-esque and wrapped with leather, forming a dagger.
Great.
If you wish to use them. You arm yourself?
I will take one of them and I will pick it up very carefully.
Okay.
Very carefully with two hands. And then she'll turn to David and she'll go, look, the kind that explodes.
And with that, David,
And then
you
she
look
will
at
throw
it.
it at the same guy aiming for his face.
You look at it, and as you stare at it, what was previously a long for a dagger, maybe it's a mix between a short sword and a dagger. It was just elongated, had a needle nose point to it. As she's talking about it, you notice that the wrapped leather handle starts to form a red cylinder, and there's a small fuse that sticks out the bottom of it and immediately ignites.
Ooh.
And as she turns back around and throws it, you hear it go. Go ahead and make your ranged attack again.
The kind that explodes.
Alright, that's it. I quit. I'm going to bed, guys.
What happened?
I rolled a 1.
Oh boy, did it explode, alright.
Maybe
All right,
this is how
Laura.
we wake up.
I want you to roll 48
Fine.
damage, and I need everybody to make a dexterity saving throw, please. You know, this whole Troy section was going to be this huge arc that I wanted David to learn and grow
We're just all
from.
gonna die now.
You guys are going to die and wake up and look over at Laura, who's the one pulling you out of the water.
David's gonna be like, we going back in.
We're all in a crater, don't worry about it.
We never left the cave, right?
Yep.
You guys keep saying that, so now I can't use that against 48. You rolled 2 8s, a 6, and a 3.
I'm dead. I'm dead.
We're
That's
all dead.
25 points of damage. I need everybody to make a dexterity saving throw.
David got a 13.
Alright.
Let me find my saving throw mod.
Shelley with the dirty 20.
Ooh!
Did
Wow, mine is also a dirty 20.
Ooh!
I got a +7 on my dex saving throw. I didn't realize. I'm gonna have to do one of those in a minute.
Alright. David, what did you roll again?
David rolled a 13.
Okay. As of
You need me to roll for...
The moment that she goes, the one that explodes! Shelana just immediately dived for cover. This is not gonna go well.
You know who's great with explosives? The one that's never used them before. Go for Daniel.
Daniels.
Nope. Alright, go for Jack.
No, you can roll.
You sure?
Yep.
You don't like when I
I'm
roll.
positive.
I got the same number. You rolled a 2, I rolled a 2.
Hey,
Matching.
Chole, dibs on not carrying David.
Alright, so, with
I'll help carry Laura.
with the exception of Wale, I also
Walleye.
need you to make an dexterity saving throw for Laura. Alright, so that is a 12. You do not pass either.
Great.
So, with the exception of Wally and Cholet, everybody takes 25 points of damage. Wally and Cholet, you take 25 points of damage, halved to 12 points of damage.
Was this fire or concussive damage?
This is concussive. Technically,
Damn it.
it's thunderous damage.
That's gonna be my.
Yeah, but does David know that explosions create concussive damage, or does David just see the fire? And
Actually,
think
David,
that's
make an
damage?
intelligence
hit with
check.
that. David got hit with a pair of exploding minotaur legs. He knows
Okay.
that explosion can equal getting yeeted across the room.
My hit points just dropped. Life is hard.
Mine just dropped like my intelligence score.
Oof.
I really think you're probably okay, David. You have a hit point pool that, Michael Phelps could swim in, and Laura over there just blew herself to smithereens. She might be having her first encounter with her dad soon.
Oh,
All right.
Chole, any advice on how to deal with dad when you've died?
It's not his father either. All right. With
Oh, I
that,
thought she was Hades too. My bad.
Oh, I am. Wait.
it's
am I?
Cholet that's not.
Oh, right.
Laura's just gonna be like, "Hi, Dad." It's like,
All right,
I don't see you.
Laura, you have 4 points left.
Nope.
You want to bank them?
Yes, please.
Nice. Good idea. Cholet, you're up.
Dynamite.
You know, I was planning on having
Points
David's
worth of
drinks
ambrosia?
back,
Jeez.
but not this quickly. Cholet, my good friend.
Yes.
It is your turn. You recently suffered a small explosive blast. Your suit is looking a little worse for wear. Your disguise might be a little worn and ragged now. And your pink bunny slippers are missing one ear.
Not the slippers.
My flippy floppies.
Now they only flippy.
Now they straight making copies.
What are all the, what is it? How does everybody look? Take a look around, and what do I see?
You recognize that most of the party is now pretty low. Laura looks quite hurt. She's taken quite a bit of damage. You are looking a little better than halfway. Wally's pretty all right. David's not.
Holy crap. I didn't realize David was that low.
David's got 18.
Yeah. You did tank up some of that previous encounter.
I checked to see if I still have my kitchen knife.
You reach into your pocket as I check your inventory. You have your daggers, your longbows. When did you pick up a kitchen knife?
I think I re-picked it up. I walk over to where Laura is.
Alright. Let me pull up the photo editor.
Cut and paste.
I will systematically cut and paste to my pleasure.
Alright.
What color was he again?
Green.
Oh shit, it was green. Alright.
There's like vomit green, and then there's like lime green.
Yeah, which one are you?
I'll be middle green.
You'll be the middle green. Okay. So
I
you
think
move
that's
up to where Laura is, inspect the table. You find a mountain of daggers present. Different sizes, shapes, colors, makes, models.
I grabbed 2 red ones. I'm like, thank God Laura didn't throw these super explosive red ones.
David, you are full on believing this now.
And then I throw both of them at the nearest enemy.
All right. David, you look at them. These ones, instead of elongating and forming the cylindrical red stick of dynamite, these ones look to be more bulbous and black, and the fuse seems to be spitting out the top from the tips of the daggers as he hucks.
like the cartoony bombs.
Yeah. Shall I go ahead and make 2 ranged attacks, please?
Okay.
Don't roll 1s or else this encounter.
Thankfully not.
That
That will be. Have they taken? They've already taken a turn, right? They beat the crap out of the other guy.
They are not surprised by you, but they have not gone in the initiative count yet, so you can still roll with advantage.
I do not roll with advantage.
No? Okay.
Wait, did you say I do or I do not?
Let's double check your assassinate feature.
Class information.
So,
that hasn't taken a turn in the combat yet.
Correct. So you started combat when you walked up. They have not taken their turn yet, so you will roll with advantage.
Got it. Okay, so one was a 6, so thankfully, yes. I will be taking my advantage on that one. Okay. All right. So that will be a 26.
That hits.
And then the other one will be an 18.
That also hits.
All right.
So go ahead and deal your 2d4 damage because that's the first part that hits. You hit them with the points of the daggers first.
2d4. It'll be 1. 2 1s.
Nice. And as they explode, go ahead and roll 8d8 damage.
8, 6. I'm gonna write these down. Hold on.
I gotcha.
All right, so it's gonna be an 8, 6, 4, 7, 4, 2, 5, and 7.
All right. That is a whopping 43 points of damage. You know what? That would have been enough to kill you, Laura.
Thanks.
Right off the bat.
I got it.
That also would have killed David.
We will have the opportunity for one of the musketeers to make a dexterity saving throw to see if he, not impaled by these daggers, can dodge. Nope. Laura's rolling low for these guys intentionally because she wants them to die. Yep.
She's rolling low for herself as well, so she might want to get that ironed out.
Yeah.
Poor thing's damn near dead.
Yeah. So is David.
But if she rolls low just across the board, it's like I might be almost dead, but so are you, damn it.
That's Shotley's job, where he drains his own life to impart more damage.
Laura's been hanging out with Shotley a bit too much. Maybe it's that Hades bond they got.
Alright, Shotley.
That's me.
After you finish conversing with David, convincing him that these regular daggers are actually extremely explosive daggers, you turn and you huck them, one over top of the other, one with your right hand, one with your left hand, since you're ambidextrous. They fly end over end, oddly weighted because of the thick, bulbous shell at the bottom. As it impacts into the chest of the creature, it sinks into the hilt of the dagger, and you watch as he stares at this now almost perfectly black globe sticking out of his chest. He looks at it for a second, looks up at you, and his mouth goes agape like, "What?" and it explodes. The explosion rattles the area. You see bits of dust crumbling off the top of the ceiling and falling to the floor. He is no longer there. He is just
To say the
entirely
least.
gone.
He is no longer there.
Where did the other dagger land?
They both landed in his chest.
Oh, they both landed. Okay.
Since you said you threw 2 of them at the same target.
At this point, I'm like, thank God there's even more of them here. I pick up another 2 and then throw it in between both of the 2 remaining enemies.
All right, go ahead and make a ranged attack.
All right, 26 again, and that's going to be a 13.
13 to hit.
Yes.
Is that with your advantage?
I didn't know that procced on each, what do you call it? On each enemy.
It does, yes.
18 to hit.
Alrighty, toss this
And then
one.
a 26 to hit.
26 does hit. You huck this one as it flies. It sinks into the small wooden floorboards just between the 2 of them. Go ahead and roll 48 damage. And they're going to make dexterity saves to see if they can dodge. And they both make it.
4, 4, 3, and 2. It's going to be 4, 4, 3, and 2,
That's
13.
13, and they take half because they were able to dive out of the way. So I will now draw them slightly further apart. You know, as red stars do.
Okay.
They each take half of 13 apiece, which is going to be, since I like Chalet, rounded to 7. Ooh. Why does this not work in my favor? There we go. They're slightly further apart now. And they have sustained minor damage. Chalet,
Yes.
that puts you at 2 points remaining.
At this point, I'm just going to duck behind something.
Alright. So you do find a plethora of waist-high cover as far as the eye can see from all of the different tables and bits of chairs that are nearby that people used to sit on to put armor on, for the greaves, the leggings, the boots, some of them being small step stools since the gnome ran the shop. You suspect he might be needed to, get up on top of the tables frequently. You have plenty of cover to hide behind. Go ahead and roll a stealth check.
It's going to be a 12.
12. Alright, good to know. So you use up your remaining points. You have 0 remaining. It goes to the first musketeer's turn. He's exploded, so he doesn't take his turn. Musketeer number 2 is the one that I still have highlighted because that's easier for me to do. Is going to come running, full speed, forward, turn around after taking 5 feet forward, and try to exit where he entered scene. Trying to fake his friend out so that way maybe his friend will run into combat and not him, and hopefully not die.
Yeah, he brought a knife to a bomb fight.
Clearly. So the previous doorway that he entered in through would be behind him. Over here. He's going to exit, or attempt to exit as best he can. He gets within 5 feet of the door, turns around and shouts to his friend, "Crinkle, crinkle, crinkle," which is their code word for run.
That's good. They have to pay for it. That's smart. So you can tell they've been partners for a while. He's just leaving his partner there to die. Don't worry about that.
After Musketeer 2's turn, it goes to Daniel. Daniel looks over at the plethora of weapons that are at the table, and he looks over at David and says, "You know what's better than all of these weapons? The
What?
table. The table." He grabs two of the legs of the table, whips it up. Tons of weapons get cascading down around the sides of it, falling with loud metallic clanks. You see a morning star impales itself onto another part of a different table. A couple of other axes and daggers split the floorboards. He whips it around and hucks it over at the musketeer that's fleeing. Laura is going to make a ranged attack for him. Much better.
Thank you.
Rolled a 23. It flies end over end, hits him in the back of the flat side, and continues to roll forward, rolling over the top of him and barring the doorway shut. Daniel beats his chest, looks over proudly at Dave, and says, "I stopped their retreat." That ends Daniel's turn. Goes to Jack. Jack shrugs. Am I really going to blow a spell on these guys? Or should I just...
You have exploding daggers.
Yeah, but I don't want to kill everybody. I don't want to kill us.
I dislike you highly.
I can tell. He walks over, scoops up some of the daggers off the floor, and looks over at David and says, "These ones are not the exploding daggers, right?" Jack says, looking at David, gesticulating with a regular dagger, "These ones aren't the exploding ones, right?"
No, those are the stabby ones.
All right, good. He scoops up an armful of them, moves 10 feet closer to the guys that are trying to escape, and starts hucking them as fast and as hard as he can. Laura, go ahead and make 3 ranged attacks, please.
17.
All right, that one hits.
16.
That one does not hit.
Oh, 11.
So, first 2 hit, last one don't. He's going to roll weapon damage. He deals 6 plus 2, 8 points of weapon damage into the back of the one that was facing towards the table. The one that is pressed against the table now is leaning back, eyes wide, staring back at the Cyclops that threw the table at him. Of all things to throw in the weapon shop, why throw the table? He is confused, bewildered, and as he's staring at him, Jack walks up with a handful of daggers, hucks one, throws it, and it impales itself into the wood beside him, pinning parts of his clothing down like a magic show. He throws 5 of them in total. Only 2 of them hit. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And as they all impart, they seem to cut around him in a perfect outline until the last 2, 4 and 5, impact him square in the chest. And he stares up at Jack, mouth agape. That ends Jack's turn. Musketeer is still alive, looking pretty hurt, but still alive. Wally, you're up.
So at this point, we have 2 left alive. One's near the back door, and one's looking pretty hurt but still alive.
The one near the back door is looking pretty hurt. One is still untouched.
One is still untouched, and he's the closer one. Okay. I'm going to huck my hammer at the one at the back door.
All right, go ahead and make your ranged attack.
Plus 7 to hit makes that a 21.
21 hits. Go ahead and roll damage.
1d4 plus 5, I believe, if I remember correctly from last week.
That is your dex plus 1, yes, sir.
It would make that a 7.
Nice. 7 points of damage. You knock him and he starts to stumble backwards ever so slightly. Your hammer falls just behind him.
I'm gonna yank it back, see if I can trip him with it.
All right. Roll an Arcana check.
Arcana check, you say?
Yes.
I suddenly realized that my hammer is magical.
It's been magical. But
I know, I was kidding.
You realize your hammer tastes like a hammer.
Tastes like a hammer. The schnozberries taste like schnozberries. Don't worry about it. This is your dream. Arcana is a +7. Ooh, 26. That's the best I've ever done on Arcana, period. I always roll 2s.
David.
Yep.
As his hammer flies, Thor style, flat-faced forward at the enemy, it impacts, and you watch as if a strong shudder ripples throughout your entire world. You stare at the hammer, and as it falls past the creature, past the musketeer, it hits the ground and thumps, and you recognize the floorboard looks as if it's rippling like the surface of water. You look over at Wally, and he tries to pull his hammer back, and it doesn't come back to him. But as Wally's pulling with the same force and same muscular movements, he seems to be ripping a void into the world behind him. You notice a small green-like color appears behind the creature as the hammer and the world from behind him is pulled towards Wally. Wally, go ahead and make a dexterity saving throw.
Okay, then.
It sounds like Wally just dropped his hammer onto like some wet wallpaper and then just ripped the whole thing off.
Yeah, right up until you see the 1s and 0s in the void. Sorry, that was a dex saving throw?
Mm-hmm.
That is a 21.
Well, you see it coming, that's for sure. You're able to dive out of the way. You instinctively duck away from the rest of the party since it's coming towards you, and your self-preservation in your selfless manner seem to be at odds for a moment. You dive, trying to draw the creature away, and the void in the world with it. As I cut your golden star out of existence, orange star, paste you back and move you about the world freely, you dive towards the large suits of armor. The other star that was not pinned to the wall via daggers is going to also get cut and copied and pasted so I can move him about freely.
Wait, do either of the bad guys fall into the void?
The one that you're pulling towards you is curling the world towards you.
Okay, gotcha.
So he's not able to fall into it, but
he's standing on the ripple. I didn't realize. I thought it was like opening around him.
His friend is getting a huge face full of code. Just like this nonsense dream surface area is just spewing forth like a fountain, spraying his friend. And David, you watch as this guy that was previously so calm and collected, stabbing a gnome, looks over and just his eyes glaze for a moment as tons of 1s and 0s as if fired from a small squirt gun hit him in the eyes. And he goes, ah! Tries to raise his arms, but he's pinned to the table by the daggers that are pinning his shirt and clothing there. He tries to resist as he squirms back and forth, face flipping left and right, trying to get out of the spray of the 1s and 0s. Wally.
Yeah.
You continue your movement, catch your hammer, as the rest of the world seems to be swirling up towards you, cresting like this huge wave about to impact into the area around you.
My thoughts exactly.
Shit. I immediately reach into my backpack and ask Kirby for a big fishbowl.
You reach in, you find a small black box, and as you pull it out of your bag, it screams at you. Laura, what did it scream?
Oh, is it going to scream dad jokes at me? I might put it back in the bag.
No, Laura made a comment that I'm asking her to make again.
Can you set me up again? I'm ready.
Okay. Wally, as you reach into the dark crevices of your leather backpack, your fingers wrap around a small cube-like structure. As you try to pull it out, there's a break in the matrix. As your hand reveals the box, it shouts to you,
I'm just a bag!
and it gets sucked back in. And you look frustrated at your bag being just a bag.
It says, I'm just a bag,
Yes.
and becomes just a bag.
It screams at the top of its lungs. The first words you've ever heard from not Kirby.
Okay. I would like to rapidly scan my surroundings for anything big and air/water tight, whether it be a chest of some sort or a closet, a cabinet, a bureau, anything that I can stuff Laura in case it gets wet on this ride.
Go ahead and roll an intelligence check.
Oh wait, Laura's still conscious, huh?
Yeah.
Barely.
Never mind. I'm sorry. I thought she was dead. I thought we were all like trying to figure out what to do with her body. My bad. In that case,
burn me and put me in a soup can.
well, no, I was going to make sure she had air just in case we rematerialized at the bottom of a swimming pool and she was out cold. But if I don't have to worry about that, I'm not going to worry about it. Okay, so the void in the world's racing toward me like a wave. I'm not really a water dude, but my bag is just a bag. So at this point, I'm just going to wait. I'm going to bank the rest of my points and wait for the wave. In fact, I'm going to brace up towards it and stare it down. And as it advances, I'm going to shout something. Let me think what I'm going to shout. This has got to be poignant. This is another god screwing with me and my friend's brains. Time to get off the hypno hype train, bitches. There we go.
All right. You shout that at the top of your lungs, staring
Time
down.
to get off the hypno hype train, bitches.
Staring down the wave of code that's approaching to you. We go from Wally to Musketeer 3. He jumps up, gets ready again, previously being knocked over by the hammer and sucked up in the unfurling wave of code of world that is slowly wrapping and enveloping him from behind. He stands up, looks back and sees that the world is devolving, doesn't really understand what that is or what that means, and just decides, crinkle, crinkle, and runs. And this time, without hesitation, he looks for the nearest window, which materializes beside him over on one of these walls, which I need to get a bigger dot for and a different color.
But David doesn't believe in windows, so he just shatters glass and slams face first into a wall.
If only David didn't believe in windows.
I don't think he does.
Oh no, if David didn't believe in windows, then it would just look like a window, but he'd hit it Looney Tunes style and go splat.
Alright.
I like that.
So there are 3 windows over there. He goes running towards it, full sprint, dives towards it. And David, you think real fast, wouldn't it be funny if he missed? And the window itself slides 6 feet over to his right as he jumps, going full horizontal, full extension, went all out, going for the dive. He was planning in his head already how he was going to tuck and roll and land and how he was going to stick it and throw his hands up and be ready. He did not expect the window to suddenly move. He's going to take 2d8 damage, which is going to be horizontal fall damage. Takes 11 points of damage, snapping his neck. Disintegrates into golden dust, falling upon the floor. The last words that escape his mouth before he dies, he looks over at his other musketeer friends and says, "Crinkle, crinkle." The last musketeer standing looks about the room, completely bewildered on what's going on in his fate, how he got into this. David, you're up.
Oh boy, well, now the world is doing stuff. Is that tear that Wally made getting any bigger?
Yes.
David's going to say, might be time to go, because we just broke the world. David is very confused because usually when Wally brings his hammer back, the hammer comes back. He doesn't rip the world with it, so David's gonna suggest, since the other dude is on the other side of this hole in the world, hole in the bottom of the floor, if you would want to put a nice ring to it. David's gonna suggest we get out of here now. Just we all go back the way we came, we get out of here, and we get away from this weird hole in the floor.
Well, the way we came was in the sky, and I don't know about the rest of you, but I don't think we can fly. I mean, maybe the way out of this dream is through the now open hole in the world in front of us.
Wally, you get the distinct shaking of a much larger head in your peripheral vision.
The distinct shaking of a much larger head in my peripheral vision. So David shakes his head?
No, a much, much larger figure that you can't quite see, but you barely sense in your peripheral vision, as if a deity is frowning upon that course of action.
Okay.
Let's get some distance from this hole in the floor. This is.
I mean, I don't typically stray you guys away from death if that's what your intended course of action is.
No, fair enough. If it's insta-death, it's insta-death. I just saw a break in the simulation and thought, okay, let's exploit that. But if we're supposed to stay in Sleepyland, we'll stay in Sleepyland. Out the door we go then, Biggin!
And yeah, David's gonna run out the door.
Alright, you turn and run out the door, ending your turn in combat. We go back to the top of initiative order. Laura.
Uh-huh.
You're up.
Laura, there's a hole in the bottom of the dream.
Is there a frog on a log in the hole at the bottom of the dream?
There might be, but I'm not sticking my head in there to find out.
I was gonna, but you wouldn't let me.
The way that the dream is reacting to the hammer being pulled back, it's being pulled back like a piece of fabric. And as it's rolling itself up towards where Wally was, Wally tried to dodge out of the way of it and then decided, no, I'm going to stand up to it, face it, puffed his chest out, fluffed his beard, stared it down, and said, we're getting off the hypno hype train. And then David took his turn and left.
Right.
You're up.
You just turned and ran.
Yeah.
I mean, for all the discussion he had, what did he do? Looked while he talked, ran.
It's fine. I'll follow. Yeah.
I mean,
David.
All right,
Follow David.
you turn and run as well. Shotley, you're up.
I'm just gonna look at the party and just be like, I think we should just cut our losses here and just get out. Half of us are almost dead.
Half of you are almost dead. Half of you are already gone.
Yeah.
So you're gonna call them out?
Who's still here?
Currently,
Me, Jack Daniel?
yes.
So,
Shotley, Jack, and Daniel are still inside.
I'm just gonna walk out and be like, I'll make sure to grab some of the red daggers before I walk out.
I have the cherry daggers.
You arm yourself with some red hilted daggers. You find 2 of them.
and just walk out. Yeah, and I grab a green one too.
All right. Let me add that to your inventory.
I'm gonna attempt to pick up my hammer.
Oh, you already caught it.
Oh, okay. It detached itself from the floor?
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't realize it had let go. I thought it was still pulling the floor towards me.
Not quite yet.
Okay, so in that case, the hammer back in the waistband, and out the door I go.
It's not quite your turn yet,
though. Oh. I thought that was the last party character leaving.
It is, but we still have the non-player characters that are part of the party.
Oh.
We have Musketeer 2, dead. No, actually, he's the one that's alive. It's Musketeer 3 that snapped his neck. He tries to break free of the daggers that have pinned him into the wall, ripping pieces of his shirt as he goes. Standing up, he rights the table, flipping it off to the side, and leaves through the exit on the other side of the building. Exiting combat. From him, we go over to Dan. Dan looks over at David, watches him. Yes, Dan.
Okay.
I call him Dan for short sometimes. No, you didn't get another Cyclops. I know you want your own cohort of Cyclopses. But no, you've only got 2 so far. Daniel decides, I guess everybody's leaving. And he himself walks out. Jack looks back, sees the world unfolding, eyes grow wide. Yeah, that's a good idea. Leaving as well. Now it's your turn, Roy.
I'm gonna... it's a risk, but you know what? This is a dream, so take risks. I'm gonna take my hammer, and I'm gonna huck it through the hole.
Alright.
As hard as I can.
Go ahead and make a ranged attack.
Is David gonna get a concussion from this?
Plus 7 to hit, makes that a 21.
Alright. You huck your hammer at this void that's quickly forming in the world. It flies hard and true and sinks into the void, hitting it first on the surface of it, rippling, and then slowly being engulfed by the code and disappears from view.
Okay. I'm gonna turn and leave the restaurant, and as I leave the restaurant, look down and to see if, because David didn't see it, is my hammer still there?
Your hammer is gone.
Oh, okay.
You leave the restaurant, which is a store and sells weapons and armor. Leaving out the previous entrance that you used, rejoining your party members outside, staring off and looking about, wondering where to go next. David, you look back and you see Wally being the last one. He actually shuts the door behind him as well. You're now out of combat. Daniel.
If he shuts the door, then the hole in the floor in the dream can't get out.
If that's what David thinks.
That's the way it is.
David's like, a door.
Jack turns to Wally. Aren't you missing something?
I'm going to attempt to... I'm going to put my hand on the door of the restaurant and see if I, by reaching out, can try to pull the hammer back.
Alright, go ahead and make a wisdom saving throw.
Are you like going to keep making me make saving throws until I fuck one up? It's like, if that's what it takes for it to sink in. 14 straight.
Alright, you take 2d4 psychic damage as you recoil at the horrendous touch of a cold fingertip running up the tip of your spine into your hair behind your head. And as you turn about looking around, trying to find a source of it, you find nothing around you, and you feel no connection to your hammer.
Okay, so something's in my head now, too. Alright, 2d4 you said?
Yes, please.
Hey! Alright, one good, one not so good. So that's 4 points total.
All right, putting you at 33. All right. Looking about the room, Jack sees you make a funny face, says, I hope everything's all right over there, Wally.
Yeah, whoever's keeping us here is starting to take things away.
Huh, maybe this is turning into less of a dream and more of a nightmare.
Well, you know, all the guys running around with sharp, pointy things, wearing red and black, kind of had me leaning that way.
I thought this was just an action-packed dream for David. I thought he was going to have him start singing and things.
He didn't choose to have this dream. Someone else is in control of it, and if it doesn't go the way they want, it makes sense that they would make it hurt.
True. Daniel looks over at David, puts his hand on his shoulder. You're looking a little hurt, friend.
Yeah, that explosion really took a lot out of me.
Took a lot out of all of us. Laura, what was that? Usually you hit the other guys with the explosives. Why'd you hit us?
Laura's just gonna ignore him.
Wally wants to look around for the nearest well, or source of running water.
All right. Looking upon our much larger map, you recognize that within the fashion district, just within the surrounding buildings, there is a large watered lake inside of it. That's what the gray color is on your screen. Here, they have a gray lake. So they don't necessarily need to have any wells because most of it is drawn from the lakes themselves that do replenish within the island. So they are surrounded by salt water, and there's fresh water on the island.
And there's fresh water in the lake? Okay. In that case, I approach the lake, and I go...
You would have to go through some buildings or through some alleyways. You could easily get there if you wish.
I think we should head for that lake over there. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. I wink at everyone except David. I think we'd all feel a lot better if we got some fresh water. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
David's like, yeah. David's not doing too great. He got exploded.
Shelly wants to check his way. I want to look around.
You both talked there for a moment. I didn't catch either.
Sorry.
Shelly,
Go ahead, Shelly.
Shelly looks around. Are we still in the siege?
Yes. Troy is still under siege by Toronto. You do see other... now they have donned masks as well. They're jumping from rooftop to rooftop, swinging about. Some of them have whips, some of them have rapiers, some of them have swords that are really elongated and very, very narrow and flimsy at the tip, but they're able to very precisely stab through the hearts of people with them as they're chasing people around. The men, the women, the children, everybody's running around, screaming. Buildings are on fire. People are calling out, help, help, from other buildings nearby.
So, where to?
Lake sounds good.
Yeah, David, didn't you tell me you always feel so much better after a nice, cool drink of fresh water? Wink, wink, nudge, nudge at everyone but David.
Yeah.
pretty sure I have one in my backpack. Chili looks around and tries to find a... Like, you saw me put it in here, right, David?
Wait, what got put in where?
Fresh glass of water. Just can't seem to find it, but you remember me putting it in here, right?
Oh yeah, back. There was that was at the Taco Temple, right?
Yeah, I pull out a glass of water.
You reach into your pack and find an empty vessel that previously held water, and your pack slightly heavier and damp.
Well, I got the glasses. I don't seem to have the water. Did you have a bottled water?
Yeah,
You have a
I'm
water
gonna
skin
open my bag and I'm gonna look at it and go, "Hey Kirby, can I get a gallon jug of water like I did for David that one time?"
You reach into your pack, your fingertips finding the edge of the black box. You grip it and start to pull it forward, and as you look down at it, it shouts,
I'm just a bag!
and it goes back.
Off to the lake we go then. I sign language thieves can't. Thanks for trying to Chotle before heading in the direction of the lake.
And David follows Wally in the direction of the lake.
Does he try to do the thieves can't finger thing too?
I think I just mix it in with the necessary hand movements for loading a pipe. Wally hasn't done that in this dream yet, but he's done it in front of David enough. He would assume the supplies are there, and are they?
You reach into your pack and find that it is now a thick, dense, almost tar-like substance that was formerly your dank kush.
Okay. All right. Well, just go with it. It's a dream.
All right. You pick it up. You pack it into a nice tight bowl. You light it. You take a deep rip off of it, and as you extend your mouth, you feel it cling over with a thin, liquidy substance, almost like dish soap. And as you exhale, it forms a small bubble and floats upward.
Okay. Would need to have a real long conversation about how smoking works with David at some point. He's gonna hurt himself. But all right. I'm still just gonna go with it.
You blow more bubbles?
I'm gonna blow more bubbles, but I'm gonna use those movements to mix in the thieves' camp to Chotle to be like, thanks for trying. I have a feeling that because water is good for him, right now it's gonna be good for all of us.
I drop my glass and I'm like, all right, yeah.
It falls to the floor and shatters in the dirt.
So, is Laura coming to the lake with us?
Yes, I'm following.
Oh, okay.
David?
Yeah.
Do you know what kind of water is going to be at the lake? Is it salty water? Is it clear water? Is it blue? Sometimes it gets yellow occasionally.
Well, I think it's blue. A lot of water I've seen is blue, and that's the good water. I like blue water.
Well, let's go check it out. All right, guys.
These are the famous lakes of Troy. I've heard the water's so clear you can see to the bottom from 50 feet out.
The water's so clear you can see your way out of the Matrix.
It is now.
You tell me, dude.
I don't know the voice that tells David this is a good idea or a bad idea. Just said it is now.
All right, David, what do you do? There's a couple of alleyways between you and the fresh greenery that stands in front of the lake surrounding it.
David wants that water and he wants it right meow. What is the shortest path to get there that does not involve just walking through walls?
You would have to descend through one of the alleyways nearby. So between all of the... Pardon?
I was saying it's good that he specified so that you didn't send him walking through walls.
That is true.
David's learning.
You do recognize that parts of the fashion districts feel like a dense catacomb of shops and stalls. The easiest way is between some of the buildings, but as you're looking at the buildings themselves, you recognize that it's going to be a dangerous way to go because musketeers and other Trojan guards are fighting along the tops of some buildings. You hear the clanging and clashing of swords. You hear one musketeer get roundhouse kicked by a Trojan, get flung off the top of the roof, falls down right in front of the party, snaps his neck on the ground, disintegrates in gold dust. There is still a siege going on in most of the city.
Ooh. This is a tough choice. Although, David does want that water. The water's probably going to heal him up better than the ambrosia, and he's only got so many charges of that one health potion. And there's quite a few people that need that health. David is still going to want to go down that alleyway, but he's also going to be thinking as he starts walking down that alleyway, man, I really hope they don't see us down here.
Wally's gonna wring some of the sweat out of his beard, and because we're all wearing thick, heavy cloaks, and he's gonna look over at David and go, "Man, can you imagine how much better we'd all feel if it was raining right now?"
David starts thinking about it because Wally makes a good point. It is.
I mean, just big, fat drops right on your face. Nice and cold on a hot summer day like this. It just feels so nice, wouldn't it?
Well, it is pretty warm, and this cloak makes it even warmer.
All right, David, I need you to make a dexterity saving throw, please.
David hopes it's not raining cats and dogs, and then he doesn't get clocked in the head by a Great Dane.
David falls out of bed and wakes up.
You said dexterity saving?
Yes, please.
Alrighty, that's going to be an 18.
All right, as Wally is describing these big, fat raindrops falling upon the city, cresting over the hills in their large gray clouds to then depart all of their water and rain it down upon everyone.
Mm-hmm.
You feel a shift in weather, a shift in the atmospheric pressure around you. You feel like there's these huge, dark clouds that suddenly and stupendously form above you. You look up, and as you look at it, you open your eye, and a huge drop of water comes falling out of the sky at you. It is about 40 feet wide, and it is positively giant. It descends towards you, and you're able to see it coming towards you. You're able to grab a few of your friends. You shove Daniel, who grabs the rest of your other friends, and drags you into the alleyway nearby. The water droplet falls from the sky with such force, it hits the ground and makes a small water explosion outward, forcing and expelling water through the alleyway, pushing everyone out of the alleyway and further into the fashion district onto the small greenery surrounding the lake nearby. I'm going to drive where you guys are now on the map.
I mean, that is one way to quickly make it through the alley.
Do you feel better, David?
No.
I feel wet. My socks are wet. Do the shoes say anything about getting soaked like this? Because remember they were talking to me when I got them?
You stop for a moment, you release the friends from your grasp, get down low and put your ears to your shoes, and you wait for them to speak to you. Yeah, toes. I like these toes. They're sweaty and wet. I like it. You don't think you're going to get any good information out of these shoes just yet.
Yeah, I figured that the shoes were going to be like, oh man, wet socks, those are the worst.
No, they slurp it up like a slushie.
Ooh. Well, sounds like I got dry socks again.
And very disgusting, perverted shoes.
Yeah, these shoes need to go work out their issues. But
So-
yeah, I mean, we're at the edge of the lake. That's good. Please, is there anything weird with the lake? Do we see anything weird going on?
I need everybody to roll perception, please.
I just had to open that big mouth.
Yeah, that's a 5. I'm chilling while he's smoking that good shit David dreamed up.
Blowing all them bubbles.
Mm-hmm.
The dankest of bubbles.
David, what did you roll?
Play with a 12.
12.
For perception, David rolls a 16.
Ooh.
Oh,
Okay.
snap. Well, it is your dream, after all.
Well, we'll start with the lowest scores and work our way up. We first cut to Daniel. Daniel, after wiping the water out of his eye, releases Laura and Jack from his grip, looks about and sees that the grass is completely damp and realizes his butt is sinking into the mud a little bit, and he kind of gets sad for a second. Jack, next in order, notices that Daniel's kind of sad and realizes that, oh, it's fine, I'll help you out. He flicks out his lightning bolt nearby and just ignites it, and it starts to cause this heat to just emanate from the blade, and it almost as if it's a hot iron starts to dry off the clothes of the Cyclops, starts to clean off himself and get himself dry as well, holding out this now glowing bright golden rod, holds it over towards Laura. You want me to dry you off too?
No.
Cool. David?
Yep.
He waves it over you, almost like a security wand outside of Disneyland. Dries you off. Wally?
I'm alright, actually.
Cholet? Sorry, Wally, I couldn't tell if that was a yes or no.
No, I'm fine, thank you.
Okay.
I can already feel some of the water, like, evaporating off of my skin.
Shirley kind of just notices that Wally's also noticing that it's evaporating.
You just stare at each other as you watch small bits of steam rise off your skin. Jack puts his watch back, looks over at Daniel. We then cut to the next in line. We have Wally. Wally, you notice that there's something strange about this water, as if it is on its own ascending back to where it came from. You think David might be familiar with the water cycle, but he might not be familiar with what causes evaporation. Or
Sorry, Lily tripped out for a second. What am I noticing?
You're noticing that David is familiar with the water cycle. So you see that the water that previously drenched your party is now rising back up to the clouds and seems to be condensing again, condensating. Is that the right word? Yeah, but the verb. Condensing? Okay.
Transfer.
So it is now forming dense, blacker clouds, and you watch above you as another large raindrop is starting to form. It's only about 5 feet in diameter presently, and you suspect it needs to get to 40 feet before it's able to drop again.
Okay.
Continuing on, the other members of the party rode well enough that them, including David, are going to be able to look out and see something within the water. You look at it, and as you stare at the water itself, you notice that it is perfectly flat and level, that there's not a ripple in sight. No matter what you do with the water, it does not ripple at all. You look inside the water and you see it is pitch black, and it is a very harsh, pitted and domed surface on the bottom, but it's concave, not convex dome, so it does bowl below the surface as if there is a large, almost like the glass of water Cholet had, where it is now this almost cavernous area just below the surface of the water, but it is deep and it is dark. And you see small pinpricks of light at the bottom of the lake. Very reminiscent of the previous encounter you've had.
Oh, that kind of sounds kind of like what David saw in the helmet.
Good analysis, David.
I wouldn't know anything about that.
Yeah. David's gonna go stick his head in the water.
All right, David, go ahead and make a Constitution saving throw.
David is insta-killed.
David hurt himself in confusion. David hurt the simulation in confusion because David rolled a 21 for a Constitution saving throw.
All right, you take a deep gasp of breath right before you plunge your head into the water. You stick your head all the way up to your neck inside there, and you look about. You go poof as you let out a little bit of air, and you watch as it sails above your head towards the bottom of the lake. And you're looking about, and you notice that it is pitch black in there. You're able to see about 6 inches in front of your face, and you're able to see from the light that is in these pinpricks and holes around the area. Since the bubble goes upwards from where you are, down towards the bottom of the lake, it's a little suspicious to you.
Well, since David can breathe in water, can David breathe in this water?
You can try.
David's going to try to breathe while under the water?
All right, go and make another Constitution saving throw.
If not, David's going to lunge his head back out and be like, bleh. It's going to be a 15.
All right. You expel the air from your lungs and watch it rise to the bottom of the lake. You then suck in as much water as you can, trying to breathe, and you realize you get no oxygen from it. You start to feel as if you're suffocating and drowning. You start to cough ferociously as you pull your head back out of the water. You realize that the surface tension of the water has not been broken as it sucks you back down to it. You are unable to break the surface of the water. Everybody else in the party watches David as a dodo bird plunging his head into water instead of sand, and not able to remove his head. You notice that there's no bubbles coming up either.
Oh boy.
You, David, also take 2d6 damage.
Oh boy, I did. 2 and another 2, so that's 4. Whew.
Alright, you take 4 points damage, putting you at a grand total of 14 HP. Jack looks over and notices that David hasn't pulled his head back out of the water. He elbows Daniel harshly in the side and says, "Hey, let's go help out David." They run over, each one of them grabbing a leg and start to pull David out. I'll let Laura roll a strength check for the Cyclops with Jack's assistance. So you roll with advantage, taking the higher of the two. Nice. So it has a +7 to its strength.
So 23.
Nice. David, you feel as you are gripped by these two dark figures on the surface of the water as you're looking back upwards at your body. They lift you up almost like a keg stand and start to pull you out of the lake as hard as they can. The water itself seems to pull back with you as if it is its own fabric-like material, sucking with it. It rips off of you, and you feel it as it suctions off of you. You get a deep breath of air back into your lungs, and you start ferociously coughing up some water. Daniel and Jack hold onto you on the side of the lake area and just pat you on the back as you cough up, throwing up the water in your lungs and stomach. Hey, bud. What happened?
I don't know. The water's not water. Felt like glue.
Huh.
And I couldn't
Sounds like
breathe
it
in there.
sucks.
What was that, Wally?
Sounds like it sucks. So that's not the way home then?
I don't trust it.
Okay, then what do we do? Do you want to go, investigate the Citadel, go back to the Talk Temple, save the town? What would you do in your dreams? What is your wildest dream, David? Or do you have any other dreams where you go do things?
I mean, David does like the dream of I can save everyone and be the hero, but right now David is not feeling too good, and the water that he has come to, know and love, because he's like, the water can heal me, just tried to kill him. So David's like, everything's not good right now. Maybe we should just go to the Citadel. Maybe they have not murder water.
Hey.
Or maybe they got somebody there who can patch us together. Because I was banking on this water. I thought the water would be good water, but no, this is evil glue water. Also, my bubbles went the wrong direction, so it's very weird.
That's very weird.
Yeah, David's vote is to go to the Citadel.
Well, you're in charge, Dreammaker, so off to the Citadel we go, unless anyone else has a better idea.
Okay, then David's got to say they go.
Yeah.
I mean, if no one else has any comment or wants to do anything else. Huh?
I'm waiting on Laura to make her comment that she's asking me but not saying on the stream.
Oh, no. Laura will follow David.
Okay, Laura. Did you get any insight or want to do anything before you leave the lakeside?
No.
Okay, there's a dead horse. I'm beating it over and over. Are you sure you don't want to do anything before you leave the lakeside?
Laura investigates the water?
Fantastic. Go ahead and roll investigation.
Okay. 2.
You think you saw something like this water with the thick black inkiness and the pinprick of stars where you jumped into before this whole dreamscape started.
It looks like the Roman pool?
Yes.
Well, if David can't go in it, then doubting anybody else can.
David was in it, but he tried to breathe in water that wasn't water and started to suffocate, as you do if you can't breathe water underwater.
Right.
He was able to survive and swim underwater like normal because he was underwater, as if he was underwater because you're in a dream and you may actually be underwater. I swear there's this big ass dead horse and I'm hitting it with the biggest baseball bat I got. I'm dropping it.
Well, I already said, so that's not the way home then? Are we really, really sure that's not the way home? Because it looks a lot like the pool we all fell in.
Wally, go ahead.
Done? Sorry, go on.
Wally, go ahead and make a charisma saving throw.
Charisma. That's a 12.
Alright, you feel a dark, imposing force take over your body for a moment. As Jack stands up after patting David on the back, He momentarily crosses in front of you, between you and the lake, and you feel your own body, without your consent and without your own movements, not of your own volition, forcefully push Jack into the water in front of you. Jack flops in, gets sucked in, and enveloped by the water.
Oh well.
That's cold, boy. Daniel turns to the rest of the party. Well, we gotta go get him, guys. Maybe you don't like him, Laura, but he was tolerable. He was kind of nice occasionally. He helped you save David. I think he means well. Maybe his player character's not showing up, so the GM doesn't know how to play his character. I don't know. Daniel then turns and runs and jumps into the pool itself, the lake, and starts to swim ferociously down, trying to find Jack. Neither of them return. You wait for a couple of seconds. You wait for a couple of breaths. Neither of them breach the surface.
Can David eat some ambrosia, get a little bit of health back, and then jump in?
Sure, David.
Or
You, while sitting on the edge of the water, watching your friends die, decide to eat a snack of ambrosia.
I didn't know they were dying. I thought they were going back to where we came from, maybe.
That's what they're trying to do. You have no proof and no information otherwise, but while you're sitting there pondering this moment in time, you can't help but find yourself snacking on a square of ambrosia. What's it taste like, David? Other than stress and fear, what's it taste like?
The ambrosia tastes... David's ambrosia tastes like a warm lemon-scented towel.
Fresh after a nice haircut, they give you a light shave, they put the towel over the top of your face at the very clean barbershop you usually go to. Cholet, what's the name of the demigod barbershop?
Celestial Razor?
Ooh. Nice. So, David, you even feel as if on the square of the ambrosia, you can feel the embroidered logo from their towels. As you...
They call that the flavor pocket. It soaks up extra lemon-scented.
All right. Daniel and Jack are gone, so I can no longer influence the party. What do you do? Huh? Is Laura afraid of water? I'm sorry. Is there character development about to happen that Laura is saying off stream? Come on, say it again.
No.
You know, they're all waiting for you to say it now. They're very patient and kind gentlemen.
Yes, they are.
Everyone who watches this is waiting eagerly.
All one viewer.
Yes. I don't know.
Come on, Laura. Okay. This is a life-changing moment. You have a fear of drowning, and you're watching your friends drown.
Yes, she does. She has a fear of the ocean. She has a fear of any body of water larger than bathtub. So she's having issues right now.
You watch Wally push Jack into the lake.
Yep, she's going to take a few steps away from Wally.
All right. Roll me a d20, see if you back into the lake.
I might. With the way I've been rolling. Yeah.
All right, what's your charisma modifier?
Charisma?
Because you're convincing me not to drag you under.
Yep, that's fair. -1.
That's great.
I don't know, maybe Kim's getting murdered. That's a 7.
All right. You yourself might also be on the receiving end of that scream shortly.
Great.
You back a couple of steps towards the water, and you feel a dark force take over you as well. You hear an electronic disco beat beating inside your head, As you turn towards the water, you look down at it, and you take another step forward towards it. Wally, what do you do?
Yeah, I'm still not sure overall because the more I try to break this down, the more I can't decide whether or not going into this pool is going a layer deeper or getting out. But the rest of the group is already gone for the most part, and it seems like that direction is where we're being taken, whether we want to or not, because Hip knows in everybody's heads, including mine, and Laura will at least have some sympathy for me now, since she seems to be possessed as well. Alright, screw it. I'm just gonna cannonball my little dwarven ass, but when I do, I'm going to focus my energy and attempt to raise my body temperature as high as I possibly can. Let me see if I've got... No, I don't have any spells that'll let me do that yet. Damn it. I'd like to try to burn the water around me just to see if I can generate enough oxygen.
In the future, you do have access to the Fire Domain Immolation spell. Which, since David doesn't know what level you are, or what levels are of characters to begin with, you immediately cast upon yourself as you start to raise your body temperature.
Oh, nice. Cool. Then flame on, and into the pool I go.
You take 8d6 fire damage.
What? He saw me climb into that engine, didn't he?
He did.
So he knows I'm immune.
Okay. Then whatever you roll for the 8d6 shouldn't matter.
But I'm still gonna get hurt. Oh well. Oh crap. Holy crap. Oh, that's terrible. Okay, so that's gonna be... is 37.
Alright. You immediately spontaneously combust, and David watches as his former short friend turns into almost a fiery comet, runs and jumps into the surface of the water, and then a huge cloud of steam and smoke that furrows upwards from it forms a huge raindrop above. Wally, you sink like a fiery burning stone, like lead inside of water. You create a small cavity of air around you as you descend into there. You get a couple of quick breaths, but the fire itself is also burning, consuming the oxygen around you as you're descending. You descend further and further, lower and lower into the water, and you break the surface. We turn back to David and Shelley, who are still standing on the edge of the lake, looking down, watching their friend, this small orange blob, now descend. From their perspective, it looks like you're descending for more than a mile. And it just keeps going and going. They look up after being starstruck for a moment, staring at this, mouth agape, wondering in awe. They look up and see a huge raindrop forming above them. It falls down, splats right on top of them. The water forces you against the buildings nearby, swirling you up into a wave and plummeting you into the lake. Both you and David. I need both of you to make Constitution saving throws, please. Laura gets thrown in as well.
Yeah. Do I need to make...
You also.
15.
What was that, Shelley?
15.
That's Constitution.
Yeah, Constitution saving.
So 16.
Nice. David.
25.
Nice. Alright, so it's only Shelley and Laura. You take 2d6 suffocation damage. I'll let you roll your damage, because Laura's over here rolling hers. Laura, so far you've done a lot.
Shelby with a 3.
Okay. You've done a lot of damage to yourself and
Thanks.
Alright. As everybody descends into the water, you can't help but try to breathe in because it gets so dark, so deep. You keep descending towards the stars, and no matter how long you hold your breath, you feel the water start to close in around you. Your lungs start to burn, a fiery heat inside of you as they strain against trying to breathe in, trying to hold in whatever air you have left. Right as you can't hold it back any further, you start to cough out air. Water quickly rushes into your mouth. You open up your lungs and you take in a deep breath of water. And you surface on the other side. You feel your body limp as you get dragged out of the Roman pool onto the small lip overhang of the outside area. And you feel chest compressions being delivered to you. Each and every one of you has the same feeling as you go across. Wally, you get it first. You only get a couple of chest compressions because you rolled so high. And you cough out the water and you roll over and as you look at a bunch of other half-blood campers nearby that had pulled you out of the water. And they are administering CPR, first aid, mouth-to-mouth, resuscitation, anything they can to try to help out. And you see, as he pulls his mouth away from yours, Wally, you look up into the beautiful green eyes of Mancy, staring down at you. His lips still puckered after he pulls away from you. And you cough square in his face. He backs up and recoils in response. Gives you a pat on the chest.
Is he wearing a t-shirt that says, "Call me a red shirt one more time, bitch"?
No, but he should have been. He's wearing his half-blood shirt, which I am.
Is Mancy alone?
No.
Or are there other Apollo cabin members with him?
It appears to be most of Apollo cabin is there, and they will no longer be called kissless.
Wow.
Are they, as Mancy was doing that, are they singing "Staying Alive"?
In order, then David and Shotley wake up as well. Laura, you are last to regain consciousness. You have a very attractive young blonde-haired woman with blue streaks on the front giving you mouth-to-mouth as you wake up. You pull her in closer.
Yeah.
Give her a pack.
Sneech.
And she goes, You're kind of cute, though.
Oh.
Stands up and walks away.
Thanks, babe.
Nancy turns to David as everybody else is getting up and getting ready. Extends a hand out to try to help him up. Do you accept, David?
I do.
Fantastic. He grips your hand and pulls you up onto your feet. He looks around, pats you on the back as you get a little extra water coming out of your lungs. You also heal up 4d6, David.
Ooh.
No.
All right.
And when you get the total, go ahead and message it in chat, so that way we can keep continuing with the description and I'll add it to your character. Laura, you watch this blonde-haired woman that you've only seen once before leave and depart the area, leading the rest of Apollo cabin away. What's her name?
Hazel.
Nice. Alright, Hazel leads the majority of the other Apollo cabin members away. Mancy turns back to his group of friends and extends his arms out, looking to give everybody a big group hug. He smiles over at Wally, says, "Hey, you almost died." Chalet, you didn't die this time, did you?
Not this time.
Not this time.
I want to look at Mancy and be like, "So how'd you find us anyway?"
we're in contact with the Camp Jupiter friends now, since they aren't really that much of a threat to us since we talked it over, and Apollo isn't really affected by the split too much because Apollo is Apollo. Both Greek and Roman, Apollo is Apollo.
Mm-hmm.
So we're easily able to communicate back and forth quite well. They said that you were over here on this side, that they were expecting Jack or Bane or even David to come back and visit or say anything. You guys left. They had some sort of scry that they were using to follow on you. Mostly, they confessed that Rodney's been scrying on Jack, waiting for him to return, and she's quite upset because even though supposedly they're boyfriend and girlfriend, Jack hasn't come back to Camp Jupiter, hasn't really said much, and has been gone for a long time. Was previously missing, she found him, then didn't want to come back with her back to Camp Jupiter, so she's definitely upset. They sing songs about it, actually. As Apollo Cabin members do.
At the mention of singing, do any of the Apollo cabin people immediately get too excited?
You see a couple of them go, and then you see
Waller
Hazel.
checks his belt for his hammer.
You find no hammer, but you see Hazel pipes up in front of them. Hey, we sing when we're done. And they go,
I like her.
No hammering, you say?
Negative. You do not find a hammer at your waist.
Okay, for now, I will wait.
So just from, at least on my end, you were breaking up. You're kind of cutting in and out. It sounded like you were, honestly, to David, it sounded like, you were speaking like David had just gotten out of the pool and hadn't gotten the water out of his ears at times. But if I caught the gist of it, it's that Camp Jupiter and Camp Half-Blood are talking because they kind of smooth things over, and that's kind of why they're out here, is because we were out here, and they're like, hey, you boys are over here.
That's correct. That's the gist of it. They had some form of scrying magic that they were using to check in.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure that I did catch, what it was that was being said.
Rodney's spying on Jack a little bit.
What day is it today?
Oh, it's Saturday.
Uh-oh.
What day did you go in? Sounds like you've had a big drink, fella.
Didn't we go in on, the 5th?
Yeah.
Didn't you have something scheduled sometime soon, baby?
Oh no, your date.
Yeah.
Oh, she's gonna be mad.
Just kidding, David. It's really Wednesday.
Oh. Don't do that! I got a date on Friday. It's the day that comes after the Thursday. You made me think it was the day after Friday. The nap day. The one that rhymes with cat. See, some people call it Catterday.
And to those people, we call them wrong.
Wow.
It is Saturday.
That's fighting words. Alright, so it's Wednesday. Okay. Well, at least we weren't gone that long.
Nah. You guys left camp on, what was it? Monday. Spent a day traveling. We were about a day behind you. We arrived yesterday. Well, we arrived really late this morning, like close to noon. And we were investigating the grounds. And we heard a big hoopla at the Roman pool. They said, people are drowning, people are drowning. And we're like, okay, I guess we'll go find out. Because we had recently spoke with Rodney. Rodney had said that you guys were trying to blow up Chiron. And that you guys were boxing with Cyclopses. And we thought, okay, sounds fine. We'll get a good song out of it. Maybe we'll get a cool story. Maybe we'll go help save the day, answer the riddle of the quest, maybe partake in the quest. We don't know. We just came because Hazel thought it would be a great idea. She wants to prove herself. She gets upset that she's not on the quests, and she's been practicing her singing voice for the quests. But
Oh, she has?
yeah, she has. You'll have to ask her sometime. But she only sings when the proper occasion strikes, or if she really likes the song. Which is rare amongst our crew. Because if you couldn't tell, the other 4 that were kissing you on the lips can't stop singing.
Wait, what time is it? Is it still in the morning? Is it after?
It's about 3 o'clock. It's about probably a late lunch, maybe a real early dinner.
That reminds me. Wally checks in with his stomach.
You hear a grumble.
Aww. Dream sausages are the least satisfying kind.
So true.
That made me think of, like, Shaggy.
A little bit.
Aren't there... David's gonna look around and see if he can see, like, tour people. Like, people who would be here visiting the castle as tourists. See if there's a crowd.
Good idea. I mean, we're not in the pool, but we are still technically trespassing.
And it's 3 o'clock.
It is 3 o'clock on a Wednesday. Laura, in still her full Hearst Castle get out, now waterlogged, is standing there, adjusting her hair, fixing her lapel, making sure she looks nice and presentable. Somehow, in the whole dream sequence, she lost her badge, and you see it floating on the surface of the water nearby.
I'm not going back in.
Nancy reaches over, grabs it, hesitates for a second, looking around, picks it up, hands it over. What do you can just not jump in the pool. You're acting so strange, Laura.
It's been a hard couple days.
Oh, that reminds me of a good song. A Hard Day's Night. No, shut up. Hold on. We don't sing.
Wally again checks for his hammer.
Still missing.
Son of a...
Is the hammer, like, floating in the pool? Is it sitting in the bottom of the pool?
You can definitely go ahead and roll investigation, David.
David would like to see if he can see Wally's hammer sitting on the hole on the floor at the bottom of the pool. Since most pools usually have a floor drain.
Oh, I got it. I was just waiting to see if there was a hammer in the hole at the bottom of
The
the
frog
pool.
on the log.
Go away, Discord. You're the wrong window. Investigation with that whopping -2 is going to give me a 14.
All right. You look down at the bottom of the pool, and you see in the beautiful, dark, starry night sky reflecting in it, there is a small metallic glint and a rectangular-like shape, a bunch of leather strapping, and then a loop that you're familiar with seeing Wally use quite frequently.
Hey, Wally, your hammer's down there.
I'm gonna walk up next to him and attempt to see what he's seeing.
You look down into the bottom of the pool and see your hammer clogging the bottommost drain on the pool floor.
I'm gonna reach my hand out and not touch the water, but see if it will come back to me through the water.
As you reach out, you start to, with your very familiar motion, try to pull the hammer back to you, and for a moment you hesitate. Your body gets pulled forward instead of the hammer for a second, and David clamps onto you, 2 hands on both your shoulder, pressing as hard as he can to fight you from going back into the pool, and pulls you back. Your hammer seems to be stuck for the moment.
Alright. Well, that sucks. Thanks for the assist, Biggin, but I think I'm gonna have to leave that there for now.
David's going to turn to Mancy.
Yeah?
And he's like gonna point at the bottom of the pool. Does that look like stars to you? Or does that look like a normal pool?
Well, yeah, it's really beautiful. It looks like dark navy tiles, maybe some gold or some yellow-looking triangular cut tiles. I think it's meant to look like a night sky. But it's still tiles, David. Are you all right?
That's not what David's saying, though, right? David's saying like a night sky.
You're also seeing it as tiles presently.
Okay.
You might be a little triggered and might have got hit on the head.
David's gonna shake his head and look at it again, like, sorry.
Any chance you want to grab my hammer for me, Biggin?
David, before he goes to get the hammer, before he goes back in that pool, David's gonna he's gonna go into the backpack, and he's gonna get the rope.
Alright, David starts to pull out the rope. As Jack turns back to Wally, Wally, what are you worried about? It appears back at your side. We already did this in the SWAT vehicle.
Yeah, but it's been a while, and it hasn't come back yet, so...
Well, that's because it's in view. Not enough time has transpired. We've been maybe a total of 2 minutes in the dream, which felt like forever. But, each round of combat is 6 seconds. You lost it, and then walked outside, and then we were trying to investigate the edge of the lake, and then everybody got pulled inside somehow. It's been like maybe 3-4 minutes. Remember with my watch, we wanted to set a timer to it to see how long it would return back to. We never found out how long yours was.
Alright, so we'll just leave it.
I mean, I make no promises as to the condition of the pool. Laura, are you alright with leaving a hammer over the bottom drain?
Is it affecting the water flow at all?
I don't know.
Oh, okay.
Well, usually tours don't like it when you toss things into the pools.
Well, how obvious is the hammer? Like, because there's that, is it pretty obvious?
It's pretty. As Jack points over, you can kind of see it. I realized I might have pissed you off a couple times, and I'm trying to not leave us on that harsh terms, and I'm trying to help maintain this cool castle. Mm-hmm. Maybe we shouldn't leave it clogging the bottom filter.
Laura tries to remember if there's like a pool maintenance shed that's got one of those really long, like, net.
Lucky for you,
things.
There's one behind you.
Great!
You're looking for a skimmer?
And hands it to Jack.
She turns around and finds a elongated metal pipe that has a rounded metal band over the top of it. That's usually used for fishing people that are using the life preservers out of pools. Hands it over to Jack, who takes it in his hands and looks at her.
Go fishing, kid.
It's not my hammer.
You're taller.
We're all taller than Wally. Does Wally, need Jack in the crotch or anything?
Wally is currently waiting to see if anyone is going to retrieve his hammer for him before he doles out punishment for all the wisecracking that's happening.
David's not doing any wisecracks to Wally.
Excuse me, Biggin, would you mind grabbing that oversized fly swatter and retrieving my valuables from the bottom of the pool? The mean girls can finish their conversation at their own leisure.
David's going to kind of hold out a hand like, you want me to do it?
Well, maybe just, like, hold on to my belt or something in case I start to lose my balance. I'll get it, but I'm... Laura, go ahead and roll an attack.
What?
Go ahead and roll an attack.
Is it this one?
That's a d20. That's your melee attack modifier. And now's the time you choose to roll incredibly well. David, right before you're able to loop your fingers through his belt, Jack starts to approach the edge of the pool. Laura gets this smirk on her face and pushes Jack into the pool. He goes and falls in, twirling the metal rod. David, since you're the tallest, you and Daniel need to make dexterity saving throws.
David's rolled an 11 for a dexterity saving throw.
That's a 0. Alright. You and Daniel both take 1d8 bludgeoning damage.
I get 1d8 bludgeoning from an 11?
Oh, I thought you said...
No, David rolled a 10. He's got a +1 for dexterity saving throws.
Okay.
So, yeah, David's got an 11 for a dexterity saving.
You still also take 1d8 damage, but it is
Dang.
half because you passed. Laura rolled a 2. You take 1 point of damage, bringing you to an even 22 HP.
David did roll a 3 on that d8.
That he did. Laura, you watch as the metal pole thwacks Daniel solidly in the back of the head and launches him forward off balance. Launches Daniel off balance, falling into the pool again.
Great.
Jack and Daniel now thwack hit the surface of the water. One thwack, then the other thwack. And then they seem to sit there for a second, motionless. And you hear a couple of bubbles. And they both roll over to face up, start treading water, and look back at you. Ha! You guys should have seen your faces! They point up at Dave and start laughing. Point off at Laura. We knew this was going to happen. I know you're pissed at me.
So it's just a pool?
Apparently.
Okay. Great.
You're still a little mean to me. I'm going to go get that hammer. And he taps on him. You watch him swim down to the bottom, grip the hammer, start to pull it. He tries 2 times, tries a third, lets go, swims back up to the top. Wally, there's something sticking it to the bottom. It feels like a really intense force pulling it down.
So we can't get it, or...
Well, I mean, I tried. I'm not strong enough. We can have Daniel give it a try. They're stronger.
Is the pool filter on?
I mean, it'd be weird if it wasn't and it was still sucking it down. It might just be too heavy for me to pick up. I didn't think Wally was that bulky. Wally, how much you bench? You able to lift like Mjolnir over here or something?
I mean, I did try, but it didn't exactly want to come back. Maybe get one of the big ones to try. I'm not so good at breathing water, and I'm not so good at turning into, A man on fire outside of a dream world.
Alright, Daniel, you give it a try. Okay. He descends, pops back up. Why was I holding my breath? Then just descends. Goes back down. You watch him grip the edge of the hammer, and he drags it all the way along the edge of the pool and gets it to where it starts to form the adjoining formation where it is slightly curved as the floor of it approaches the vertical wall. As he drags it over to the side, you notice he struggles to get it moving anywhere. He's able to barely move it inch by inch across the floor of the pool until it gets to the vertical wall of the pool. And he pops his head back over the edge. It's really heavy. It's like really heavy.
David's going to jump in the pool and give him a hand at trying to lug this super heavy hammer.
All right, go ahead and make an athletics check with advantage, David.
Ooh. Athletics is one of the things I like rolling for. Thank goodness you said advantage. Haha, it's going to be a 25.
All right. You and Daniel, together by your combined strength, are able to raise it ever so slightly. One of you reaching at the top, pulling up by the hammer's hilt and body. The other of you, or tang as it's called, the other pushing from the bottom up from the head of the hammer, trying to lift it up. Daniel putting his shoulder into it, trying to lever any sort of force, leverage he can get. Eventually managed to poke it up to the top and lift it all the way till it just breaks the water surface a couple of feet away from Wally. You see about 2 inches of the handle of this hammer now sticking out.
Sticking out of the water?
Yeah.
I reach for it.
All right. You reach out and you grab it, and it immediately bursts into fiery, hot, molten iron and reshapes itself in your hand. You pull it out, and as it quenches itself in this now superheated water around it, you flick it about and it returns back to its shape after shifting around like a magma ball. You think something's different about your hammer now.
Interesting. Can I still lift it?
Yeah, you hold it like normal.
Okay,
What's the hammer
cool.
to you?
David's going to get out of the pool.
You and Daniel escape out of the pool. Jack as well treads water, stops at the edge of the pool. Will you help me out, Laura?
Are you going to pull me in, Jack?
No.
Are you lying?
Are you lying?
Would I lie to you, Laura? What kind of son of Jupiter would I be if I were to lie to my friends and compatriots?
Well, if it's just a pool, then I guess. Okay. So she'll extend a hand.
He grips yours, and you get a momentary sensation of numbness in your hand just from the electricity that is coming off of Jack. He seems to not be doing it maliciously. It seems to be almost a natural state that he's in. He grips your hand and looks at you and smiles for a moment. Can I pull you in?
No.
Please?
No.
Pretty please?
No.
You're on the action side of the event,
I'm
so you have to
pulling.
pull him up.
Yes.
Okay, so you pull him up. You said you reach out, but you can say pull. You pull him out, and he, one foot hops out, dripping water, shakes off for a second. Thank you, Lord.
You're welcome.
Jack kind of looks off now. Well, Daniel, you want to get back to your family now? Oh, yeah. I have a wife, 2 kids. Been gone for at least a day. Should probably get back home. Laura, is that a good idea?
I think so, yeah.
Okay. I guess I'll take the next tram out of here. Thanks for the clothes, guys. Wait. He looks down. He's still wearing his previous clothes that he jumps into the pool with. I guess I'll just leave. Bye, guys. It was fun fighting David. Even though it was a dream.
Not all of it.
At least you got a cool story for your family.
Yeah. That's true.
Say hi to them for me, even though they don't know me.
I'll tell them all about you, David. And Shelley, too.
Wally's not offended that he's left out.
Oh, and Wally. I like your fiery hammer. It was really cool, the stuff you could do. I don't really understand most of it. But it was cool. You peeled back the fabric of reality.
No, Wally really wasn't offended that he was left out. He's like, okay, all right, Biggin, on your way. What are we doing?
He steps off and ascends the staircase out of the Roman pool. You hear a heavy drippage as he's leaving from him, as he wrings out parts of his clothes. Jack looks around. Well, we still gotta find my brother.
Oh, that's what we were doing.
That's initially why we came here. But I mean, we can check Troy off the quest. Cha-ching!
I mean, that's nice.
That's what I was hoping for. I thought I heard McDonald's go ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
I'm liking it.
I'm more enthused.
David's trying to remember after everything that has happened with falling into the pool, falling out of the sky, falling into Troy, being nose carried into the taco temple, everything that's happened in this pool dream thing. Where were we looking? I mean, he knows that it was here, but he doesn't remember where on the grounds we were supposed to be looking for his brother. For Jack's brother. Bane's brother.
Did you hear me?
Yes, but I didn't hear him.
Okay. David's saying he's curious where we are to go next.
Oh.
David, I remember we're here to find the guy.
Were we looking for polar bears?
Yeah, heading past the Neptune pool to get there.
Oh yeah, the polar bears.
Well, they're supposed to be actually harpies, but,
Polar harpy bears?
I tried to bring these super awesome Cheez-Its that I found I thought would just be perfect as bait for them, but they disappeared because Terminus is a dick. I want to know why the food doesn't disappear out of our stomachs when we leave the room.
Don't give Terminus ideas.
Don't
Don't give Terminus ideas. He's gonna level up his food stealing.
As soon as you consume the food, it imparts the magic to you. You don't even digest it.
Oh.
Just restores stuff and then disappears.
So how do we get to the polar bears?
Laura stepped away for a moment, so I will be her voice. Laura speaks softly and says, well, if we go back to the... I did, but you're going now.
Never mind.
Okay. Laura speaks softly, saying, if we continue back to the bus unloading instead of following Daniel's directions, if you really want to continue with what he suggested, we can hop the wall from our northeast corner over here, or we can go back to the bus unloading station. We get on a bus, it takes us further down the trail, we disembark the bus, and we can just find our way into the polar bear enclosure.
That sounds easier. Doing the
I
bus thing?
think so too, David. Shirley, what do you think? Do you think we should continue hopping off the trail? Or should we go back and get on another bus?
I think we should follow the trail.
So you want to continue to haphazardly interact with any of the other gods that may or may not pull us into pools or have us start fights with other random things instead of getting on a bus and going down the trail? Or what are you saying?
Last time we got on a bus, Biggin bit somebody.
Let's just get on a bus, but just make sure that Biggin doesn't bite anybody.
We could get on the bus with the same guy.
Yeah, let's just do that.
Let's just catch up to Daniel.
Yeah.
Alright then.
Alright. Jack looks at everybody else. Alright, I guess we're getting on the bus. So with that, you all, with ease, make your way across the grounds towards the bus unloading. You walk through the beautiful esplanade along the Hearst Castle grounds. You notice as the sun is setting, you look about the beautiful oranges, reds, and purples of the setting sky reflect beautifully through the Casa del Sol as if it is almost glistening and capturing the radiant energy from it itself. You look about and you see up at the Casa Grande, the Celestial Suite. You look at it and you can't help but feel there's still something left unfinished up there as you hear the dong, dong, the ringing of the bell, which Laura described as being above the Celestial Suite, echoing throughout the chamber. And she looks kind of off-put by the bell. She looks up at it, turns back to the rest of the party. The bell hasn't been functioning in a long time. I don't know if that's a good sign.
So should we go back to the bell then?
Well, I think we should finish one thing at a time. Do we want to go to the Harpy enclosure? Do we want to go to the Neptune pool? Do we want to go back to the Celestial Suite? We've got 3 different things we can do.
I don't know. We were going to go to the Harpy place.
Yeah, but did anybody else just get that really strong unfinished business vibe when they looked at the Costa del Sol?
Oh, I guess that means we got 4 different things. We did talk about the Casa del Sol when we got here. And since Mancy was here, where did Mancy go? You watch as Mancy's already on the last bus, leaving from the Hearst Castle grounds. He seems to have stopped the driver for a moment as he sees you all approaching and he waves over. Hey! You guys leaving too? Or are you planning on staying the night again? What are you doing? And on that... Sorry, Shirley?
No, it was me.
Oh.
But I'm good. What were you going to say?
Never mind. Laura, with a handful of cheeses that you didn't see her take from Kirby.
Yep. Since we're here, should we go back and go into that super secure secret room and have a rest? I'm still pretty exploded.
Yeah, that seems like a good idea.
Just see if it's if you die in the dream, you die in real life kind of situation.
Yeah. How's everyone doing?
Everybody is at their current maximum HP value.
All back to normal.
What are you talking about, Laura? You don't look exploded at all.
Oh. Never
Is
mind.
it just... Sorry, go on.
Never mind. No rest needed.
You're gonna have to say it again because you're whispering.
I was just talking to you. I said, never mind. No rest needed. I thought we're still at our my really low HP.
Our dream HP.
Yeah.
Is it just Fancy on this bus, or are there other Apollo members and all that?
You see the rest of Apollo Cabin is still here. You see Daniel's on the bus. There are some tourists, a couple of tour guides. Most of the other cleaning crew and staff are leaving as well for the evening. It's leaving time.
I mean, do we wanna have Mancy join us again? I kind of miss Mancy.
If you're gonna comment to me, I don't mind if it's on the stream. I just need you to be loud so I can hear you.
Oh, I've never played with Mancy, so I don't know.
You are familiar with Mancy from camp.
Yeah.
He was also a cabin member of Apollo Cabin when you were at camp. Back in the 1800s.
Yes, back in the 1800s.
Back in England.
In England?
Yes.
He was with me all the way back in England?
Yes.
Oh, we're like best friends then.
Yes.
Ah.
As you realize this, staring at the man that you've
we're
known
best friends.
for close to 100 years.
Oh. Alright. Sure, let's invite him.
I mean, I'm fine with this, but if he starts to sing along, I will test my new hammer on him.
Come on, everybody. Wheels on the bus go round and round, round and round.
That's the rest of the Apollo Cabin.
Wally leans toward his bag. Kirby, can I get my headphones, please?
You reach in, press your fingers against the black metal surface of Kirby. You grip it, and instead of it releasing anything from it, for but a moment, it continues outward towards you until it reveals itself out of the surface of the bag and shouts. The only thing you've had to shout.
No, I'm just a bag.
Seriously?
It then provides you with what you asked afterwards.
It then gives me what I asked for afterwards?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Alright.
But Kirby has a sense of humor.
Okay. Okay, Kirby. I see you. I see what's up. We're gonna have a conversation later that you ain't gonna entirely like, but yeah, I see you. I would like to. I'm chilling, man. I'm just gonna get on the bus and keep my mouth shut.
What was that, Doug? Laura didn't hear you.
I'm chilling. I'm just gonna get on the bus and keep my mouth shut.
Alright.
And hope that nothing else tries to kill me today.
So while you walk up, you see Mancy. As you approach, Mancy greets you. Hey, you heading home now?
Actually, I was wondering if you could give us a lift. Of course, you'll have to ask either Laura or Biggin where it is we're going. I'm not sure which of the 12 people we've got to save or things we've got to do we're actually going to do right now.
Well, we're heading on the bus down towards the tour center. They say they're going to pass some of the former zoo enclosures on the way, and they're going to point some cool ones out to us as we're leaving.
Maybe drop us by the polar bears? I heard that Bane's brother might be over there.
Okay. Bane's brother? Isn't that Jack behind you over there?
Come on now, Mancy. You've been with us for a while now. You know what happened in Chicago.
I wasn't in Chicago.
What,
And
my
you haven't
persuasion's
really-
not working?
You haven't
I'm not
really
Jedi
told
mind
me.
tricking him into remembering something he doesn't?
Go ahead and roll persuasion.
I mean, David thought we were going to be going back to the secret room.
That's what Laura thought too.
Yeah.
Oh,
Well,
then she said, I guess we don't need to rest, so I was waiting for someone else to interject an idea. Now I'm just stalling Mancy on the bus in conversation.
Nancy's
What am I rolling?
Persuasion.
Persuasion. That would be an 8 then. I think that's an 8.
All right.
That's an 8.
Mancy stares at you for a moment, confused with your intent, and says, I don't know what you're talking about. I was back at camp when you accepted the quest to find the unicorns, and I haven't been with you guys since the Hypno Hype Train. Which is funny that I'm back here again with another Hypno event.
How would you know that Hypno had anything to do with this, Mancy? I'm just curious.
Because I looked into it. There was electronic dance music and steam coming off you guys, and when we pulled you out, you were sleeping. Some of you were sleeping. Some of you were drowning.
My bad.
The Cyclopses weren't able to drown. They were just sleeping. But everybody else was getting pretty darn close.
So I'm gonna, I'm like standing on the steps of the bus, keeping the door open so that he can't leave, and I'm going to look around at everybody else and go, so where are we headed?
Polar bear enclosure, since we don't need a nap. They was going to ask the bus driver if he can drop us off at the polar bear, near the polar bear place.
Why are you shouting from all the way over there? Get closer!
David runs up to the bus. Can you drop us off at the polar bears on the way out?
Scratches his head. You see he's got one big eye in his forehead as well. Usually we only go from start to finish. I don't usually take special requests to drop people off. There's a whole video for departing. There's like Jimmy Kimmel or somebody that comes up on the screen and talks to you guys.
Laura will get closer and show him her employee badge.
It drips a little bit as he looks at
It's
it.
a little wet. We just need to check some of the enclosure space for maintenance.
So you're flashing your badge at me pretending to be a maintenance crew?
No, I'm just an employee.
Laura, if you look back, I've got the entire maintenance crew with me in this bus. Everybody's trying to go home for the day.
Could you just drop us off, please?
Well, since you said please.
It would be really helpful.
Wow. Go ahead and roll persuasion.
Okay.
The real question is, my friends, who is she persuading?
16.
You have a minus
I
one.
have a -1.
All right. You see this new Cyclops strokes his small little goatee on his chin.
There we go.
Okay. If you can fit on the bus, I'll drop you off. I am also the last bus, so if you don't get on, you'll have to walk.
Okay. Laura gets on the bus.
So does David.
Wally, you get momentarily squished up against one of the walls as Laura
I'm assuming I get pushed onto the bus.
they try to push past you, push you up onto the bus. Cholet and Jack bringing up the rear, kind of shoulder bumping each other as they go, laughing amongst themselves, ascend the bus as well. Everybody gets on the bus. The doors shut. Everybody finds their way to a seat, and you hear the metallic whirring, the motors whirring as a small TV stand-like projection lowers itself from the front of the bus. And you hear wow, 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 wow. I need everybody to make a wisdom saving throw with disadvantage, please.
Ah.
Is that on this one?
That is.
Man, I got Discord working just in time to get a wisdom saving throw.
I don't know. 13.
Ooh.
So you fail. Actually, I gotta double check this first.
David rolled an 11.
Alright. Wally, what you roll? And remember, you're rolling with disadvantage.
Yeah, I know. Wally rolled a 3, and is probably dead. Brand new hammer, though. He can take it with him straight to the underworld.
Go fight some skellies down in the Underdark. Alright. As everybody manages to make their way, they find their chair. The familiar blue and orange and yellow, almost crayon drawing seats are quite familiar since you rolled up here with them. You see at the front there's a new Cyclops that's driving, but as you focus on his figure, it seems to turn wavy and hazy for a moment. The TV screen descends down and it flashes bright white. A small, slug, almost toad-like figure pops up into view again. And you see it's got two bright, piercing orange and red and black eyes as you get the familiar tone of the Hypnotoad returning. Wow, 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 wow. So the way sleep works is that it's going to take the total that we rolled, which was a 84, and it's going to pick an initial target, and then it's going to subtract the HP total of that person from the spell's total and continue down the line, starting with Laura. Your total HP is 43. A minus 84 is going to be a negative 41. It's got 41 points remaining. You are asleep.
Got it.
Jack, Daniel, and Shotley cannot make their saving throw and fail automatically.
I thought Daniel was gone.
Daniel's on the bus.
Okay.
Wally, what did you roll for your saving throw?
It was a 3.
All right. You fail as well. You take 84 points of damage. Sorry, 84 against your max HP total. Which
It's
puts
still
you,
84? It's not diminished at all by...
if you had passed, it would be.
Oh,
So Laura passed.
gotcha.
David,
Yes?
what did you roll?
11.
11. You also fail. So you are immediately put to sleep, as is everyone else in the vehicle.
Oh, so no one. Yeah, we're
Wow, 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 wow,
Yeah.
wow, wow, wow. And as the party falls into a deep hypnotic trance, we're going to end our session there. Thank you one and all for joining. It has been my pleasure having you, and I hope to do it all again soon.